I'm live. Now I'm live. I've just been talking to myself. I'm awfully sorry. Oh, God. Oh, cripey. No, 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 no. Don't want to do that. There we go. There we go. Oh, ads. Oh. Yeah, cheers, Sven. Hiya, Sven. You all right? Just call me Avi. You okay? Triggered Limey. Hiya, mate. You okay? Global Mom. Hello. Where are we? Loki Fish. Loki Fish. Mighty Possum. Hello, hello, hello. Are you all okay? I up Charlie Welch. Charlie Welch. Sorry, I'm awfully sorry. Oh dear. There we go. The thingy should be coming up. Uh, there we go. I'm just checking to make sure that comes up. Uh, Gotta go work. Yeah, hiya, Charlie. Take care, my friend. Have a good one. Thank you, Turtle Moves. I know I've been promising this stream for ages and ages and ages, and finally I've got to do like my whole thing, giving bobs and all the rest of it. So I hope you do enjoy it. Um, how many's watching? How many's watching? I don't know. Doesn't say, but never mind. Do, do, do. Hello, Mel. Mel Gig. Oh, hello, by the way. Anyway, this is a real pint glass. It looks bigger because of perspective. And if you don't know what perspective is, ask a flat earther and they will tell you exactly what it isn't. Oh. So I've had my hobnobs. I've got my favourite tipple, which is, yeah, perils of live streaming. Ain't that the truth? Got me San Miguel's. And that's pretty much it. So, I can't click on anything because if I do, then my window will go onto what I'm clicking to. Let's just see if I can watch myself. Watch myself, Jesus. Sad, 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 sad. Let's see if everything's okay. My channel. Yep. Just making sure. 10 watching. Excellent. Fantastic. Yes, I'm live. Yep. Excellent. Lovely jubbly. Yeah, so everything's smart. Everything's fine and dandy. Pop out chat I need, don't I? So I can just... hiya, dog walker. You okay? Rachie knows all about perspective not. That's Rachie 50, isn't it? Isn't she good looking? She's absolutely gorgeous, is Rachie. It's just a shame she's so, well, dim, really. Or probably misunderstood. I think misunderstood is probably the word for it. Crikey. YouTube suggestions. We know what you frequent. Yes. Does when I highlight something, does it pop up on the stream because I can't see? I don't think it is doing, is it? Oh, what a shame. Never mind. I will fix that for next time because I'm going to try and do a live stream at least a couple of times a month on a Friday night, I think. I think that's pretty free where most of the content creators are concerned. So I'm going to super chat. Sven Bellens, did it come up? Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, I'm going to try and do a live stream at least twice a month. Oh, it's not coming up. Ah, bugger. But thanks for the super chat anyway. I'm hoping that comes up. That should come up. I'll put the alerts on and everything. No, I've not. Uh, oh no. I've not signed into Stream Elements, have I? What a dipstick. Oh, right, hang on. Stream Elements. There we go. They should pop up, shouldn't they? Ah, there we go. There we go. Let me get login. No, I'm not doing that because it did pop up, didn't it? Yeah, there we go. Oh, I wish it'd get off. Oh, there we go. Right, okay. Yeah, the perils of live streaming. Yes, Mr. Sharples, yes. I've gone. No, but the resolution has jumped up to 720p. Good. I need to do a bit more research on this thing. YouTube live stream system is slow, broken, hard to use. Found that out the hard way on my old channel before it got deleted. Oh, well. I'm sorry your channel got deleted there, mate. I don't know why. Yep. Hiya, Dougie, mate. Are you okay? We'll let a few more peeps come in. Because tonight's stream is... No, it's not you, Sven. Thanks again for your super chat, my friend. Is that Rachel pinned to the wall? No, that is Black Widow. Mrs. Jones bought it because she knows of my love for Scarlett Johansson. And this is about as close as I'll ever get to Scarlett Johansson. So, George, that was a quick one. George, come back. If you're coming back, please come back. I'm still live, aren't I? I thought I'm still live. I am still live. Yes, I'm having a drink tonight, as you can see. Oh. So we'll get... Yep, good. Everything's looking pretty good. People's... Oh, Avie. If you ask nicely, hopefully one of the mods will pop your new channel link in the side chat. Hopefully they will. So, right, tonight's stream. I wanted it to... This is a stream that I wanted to do because I don't want to do a video about it. This guy that you see on your screen right now, apart from me, is a guy called Brett Keane. I had a back and forth with him on some of my comments. He wasn't very nice, and I wasn't very nice. He has trouble answering questions for some strange reason. So I popped on his channel at about 1 o'clock on January the 1st, 1 o'clock in the morning. Popped on his channel, and everything was fine and on. It was perfectly respectable, and we had an interesting chat. But he's since released a video that features me. Pardon me. He has since released a video that features me. Well, he mentions me anyway and starts calling me names and etc. etc. Anyway, I'm not going to go too much into it because the video is going to be up and running round about now.
I did want to say this. I have discovered more and more in the last 2 years of having discussions and debates with atheists.
Just let me know if you can't hear it and I'll turn it up.
And people of evolution are having such a difficult time having discussions and being able to help the people who believe in evolution understand what our problem is.
There's no belief in evolution. Evolution, unfortunately for you, Mr. Dipstick, is fact. It's been evidenced time and time again. It's been tested and retested and tested again. Sounds low, okay. Evolution has been tested time and time and time again. Just because you don't trust it or you disagree doesn't make it wrong and doesn't make it untrue and doesn't make creation true either. Anyway, Mr. Keane, continue.
The issue is this. I've had a guy called Atheist Jones in my room. I've had a guy named Jay who claims to be some kind of IT guy who...
Atheist Jones. You can't hear him. Right. I'll turn it up. There we go. Desktop audio. There we go. Hiya, Morris. You all right? I'm glad you came. Glad you came. Let's let's whack that up a bit. Right, there we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I do know. I've stopped the stream. Oh, it's still going. I didn't stop it, George. Sorry, I just switched to another window. Sorry if any confusion or anything. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's
Thinks he knows a whole lot of stuff. I've also had a short conversation with Mr. Neff, and I've had countless conversations with atheists about evolution. And the one consistent thing that I keep noticing is that not a damn one of them have ever actually studied evolution and what it's about. They claim to believe in evolution, and they'll be the first to tell you that you're stupid and that you don't understand it.
You, Brett Keane, doesn't understand evolution at all. I've studied a bit, and I've had to do a lot of research when covering people like Matt Powell and etc. etc. And I've learnt an awful lot. Anyway, Mr. Keane, continue.
But the truth is, as I think that Kent Hovind demonstrated, as well as myself many, many times, as well as Matt Powell on his own videos, is that atheists do not know what the hell evolution is even teaching. I mean,
why is it just atheists? I mean, there are plenty of Christian science. There are plenty of scientists out there who still believe in God and still study evolution and get that right. Why? He's got a bee in his bonnet. This guy has got a bee in his bonnet about evolution and atheists. He claims to have been an atheist before and then turned to Christianity. I'm not so sure. But Mr. Keane, if you're watching, evolution is descent with inherent genetic modification. If you can come up with a better definition, go for it.
They literally don't even have the most simplistic standard understanding of it. They will beat their chest and they'll call everybody dumb and retarded, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't even know that evolution teaches that it is a gradual change over time, and that massive changes have happened where creatures are literally going from species to species. That at one point in time, humanity was nothing more than goo, and then became like a fish, an amphibian, a reptile, a rodent. That evolution actually teaches that we existed in a completely different transitional form, and at one point in time, evolution claims that we too were fucking dinosaurs. That not only did we,
we were dinosaurs, apparently. Yay! Thanks, Dad. You're a thing, yeah, aren't you? I've seen you comment on a few things, so I'll put you as a mod. Doug, you should have a spanner by now, matey. Yeah, you should have a spanner now, my friend. Yes, this Brett Keane thinks that humans were dinosaurs. Now, I've challenged him on this, and I've had no thing, but he's put a video out. This Brett Keane here has put a video out claiming this is right. This is the time of human evolution. So we'll just have a quick flick through this, because he thinks, and I've challenged him on this, and Tiktaalik, he thinks that Tiktaalik was a dinosaur. Let's go further. He thinks that Hynoperton is a dinosaur. He thinks that that's a dinosaur. He thinks that this is a dinosaur, Dimetrodon. What else? He thinks that because they look like dinosaurs, they are dinosaurs. Lystrosaurus, he thinks that that's a dinosaur. Thrinaxodon, he thinks that that's a dinosaur. And it isn't. They're either mammals or mammal-like creatures, or either reptiles or reptile-like creatures, not dinosaurs. This man is an absolute joke of a man. Let's continue with Mr. Keane anyway.
You got Kent saying that dinosaurs are separate from humanity, but if we go with the evolutionist, we were actually the dinosaurs who somehow managed to survive the extinction period.
Wrong.
And they are so lacking in education and intelligence on these topics that they don't even know what we're talking about, because they don't even bother to go research their own position or study up on what evolution is actually stating.
Well, Mr. Keane, I actually did research that, and I've left you a comment under your video, and you haven't even replied to it. I pointed out all the things that you mentioned in the previous video, claiming they were all dinosaurs, and I pointed them all out to you, and none of them were dinosaurs. And I've asked you to name one dinosaur in that video. No, we didn't evolve from apes, we've evolved from monkeys. So you are like a monkey.
It's gotten to the point, ladies and gentlemen, where atheists are starting to get mocked majorly, and they're not taken seriously. Nowadays, they're actually telling us that octopus and squid rode on a rock, and that they're aliens, that they didn't actually exist prior on Earth and went through an...
Have you heard this man? He's believing like clickbait headlines. Octopus. Where are we? Do hope you can... Oh, you can't see it. Doesn't matter. I did do some research on that. Oh, it's just popped up and then it went off again. Sorry for that. I did some research on that, and octopus and squid riding on... yes, Doug, you are very special. And I did some research on it, and the squid and octopus thing riding on asteroids shouldn't be taken seriously, and that's livescience.com I got that from. Their names include Don and Saw, so they must be dinosaurs. But yeah, turtle moves, yeah. And he calls atheists, this man calls atheists uneducated and dumb and stupid. Wow.
An evolution period. They're telling us that monkeys have learned how to surf and managed to travel over thousands of miles over ocean, waves, and bad weather, sharks, on rafts and surfing without no food source or anything like this. And of course, monkeys can't drink salt water. So they got no drink, no eat, and no nothing.
This man is unbelievable. Oh, I've said this many times, and I've done this many times. I've shown where it's possible and perfectly plausible how monkeys got from Africa to South America. Cassowaries, yeah, very nasty. You see, people like Brett Keane and Matt Powell and Kent Hovin, they think monkeys got on little rafts and then just hopefully landed in South America sometime. But wrong. This is a flood of the Panama Canal in 2010. And look at that. There's an enormous landmass there floating by there. Trees are still upright. Bushes, everything. Masses and masses of floating vegetation. Now, if they want to claim that that's not feasible or not plausible, then it just shows you their mentality, doesn't it? For, you know, crazy.
And you've actually got atheists who are getting on video going, well, it all sounds plausible to me. I recently had a guy called Atheist Jones ask me, and it's a guy that Matt Powell has humiliated repeatedly on video, because the guy, he's just not there whenever it comes to it. It's like
Atheist Jones,
like the attic is working, but nothing lives in it, kind of thing. It's like a dead hamster on a wheel. There's just no turning. And I had a long...
Yeah, and he's stolen Matt Powell's script, but Matt Powell is even dumber than this guy here.
3-hour conversation with the guy, and even though he was considered and respectful to me in live show, but as a total asshole in his own videos because he's doing a persona or something, I started to feel as like there's more to this than just an evolution Christian debate. I'm starting to believe that a lot of these atheists we're dealing with have social disorders as well as different forms of autism. And there's actually a study being done on Psychology Today where a lot of atheists are demonstrating that they are high spectrum, have autism. And
So apparently, atheists suffer from autism. I've asked this fake doctor of psychology and psychiatry, I've asked him, because he accuses Atheist Junior as well of being autistic. Shout out to Atheist Junior, by the way. Um, I've said to this guy here, Brett Keane, I said, do you think that me and Atheist Junior suffer from autism? Because you've implied it. And he wouldn't answer the question. He's like any creationist or any, religious whack job. Just dodges the question. He's a goon. Absolute goon.
autism is not something that means that a person's broken or that they're bad. It just means that they work differently than the way other people do. They can contain a lot of information and they can actually come off smart, but they don't understand how human acceptance and socialization works, and they come off very, very improper, not the same way as like a genius who has an awkwardness or is introverted, but you just have to look at the symptoms of people who suffer from it. And it appears as though a lot of atheists in our day and age seem to suffer from a lot of different things, which explains why it is whenever it comes to theology, it all comes off stupid to them because they can't comprehend it.
So, what you're actually saying here, or what I think he's trying to say is atheists are bad and they suffer from mental health problems, but believe in God and study the Bible and you'll be perfectly okay. Right, okay. So Christians don't suffer from anything. Christians don't suffer from mental health problems or anything like that, or depression. And they don't suffer because, you know, disease doesn't pick religions. Mental health problems don't pick and choose religions. Mental health problems can affect anybody at any time, at any place, and it's as simple as that. But this guy, what a dick.
That's the reason why if you watch a lot of atheist channels, they deal in cartoons and anima and all this because
Anima.
they don't understand more sophisticated visuals or what they're looking at or what they're hearing. The information's being given to them, but they don't have the ability to mentally process it and be able to make a coherent conversation with it. And I think that's what our problem is when dealing with a lot of atheists out there. It's not that they're mean or they're terrible or they're stupid. They just don't have the comprehension skills and cognitive abilities. That's one of the things that comes with autism. And
This is the man that left me on my own on his channel, on his stream, that left me on my own for like 5 or 10 minutes at a time. About 4 or 5 times if you watch the stream, he leaves the stream to go for a piss. This is a guy who he looks like he's lying down in bed on his stomach with a microphone stuck to his face. And he tells people, atheists, that they've got problems. He's got to use a photograph there of him, like I'm guessing it's 30 years ago, but it looks nothing like the photograph or his webcam feed. That's him 30 years ago. What a dick.
And a lot of these atheists have already admitted in video that they have a lot of mental health issues. So it's sad, and I think that we should pray for them and continue to try to have compassion and sympathy.
Compassion and sympathy. He's just called me an arsehole, and he thinks he's got compassion and sympathy. He thinks that atheists are dumb and stupid, and he's going on about compassion and sympathy. Let me know in the chat, right, if prayer will help. You know, one guy said you suffer from autism. I can't remember who that was, but um, if you suffer from autism, do you think that him saying a prayer will cure you of your autism? Do you think that if you believe in God or start believing in God, that that will cure your autism? I think not. Yeah, he's definitely got bladder problems. Went for a Riley. Yeah.
And maybe we ought to try to find a different direction on trying to help them understand what it is that they're even claiming. So I've also
What?
discovered, besides evolution, a lot of atheists can't comprehend the difference between what power and energy is compared to magic. I think that they've been watching too many atheist magicians like Penn and Teller, and they don't know what the difference between sleight of hand or illusion is compared to what actual mass and matter and power and energy is capable of doing and the transformation process in it. Right now, as I speak, atheists are probably going, derp, derp, what's he talking about? And
Yeah.
I'm not a professional teacher or some kind of doctor that's ever worked with autistic people. So
I think that's the truest word he's ever spoken. He's not a doctor.
I'm not even really sure how Christians can break their way into the mold to be able to set up the proper visuals. Maybe we need to make South Park cartoons or something showing them what evolution is actually claiming. But even then, even though we've already showed them quite a bit, they seem to think it just all makes sense in that kind of way. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. We can end the show right there on that sentence. I don't know. Because you don't know, Brett. You haven't got the first clue. You think all the matter in the universe was condensed into a tiny dot. When I said to you on your stream, it wasn't. I said it was a singularity that rapidly expanded. Just too fucking dumb. Just, I'm going to do a couple of shout outs quick before we move on to the next video. Chiller John Kearney, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. We're winning the war against TV licensing. We are winning, even though I've not done a video for months. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Chiller John Kearney, Morris, hiya Morris, you all right? Proud Atheist, yeah. George, yep. Andy's Bailey, hiya mate. How are you doing? You okay? Sven, George, yeah. George Ains, no, it's autism isn't a disease. It's no. Chili John, if I can do it, you can do it. All right, you can do all this gubbins on screen and everything. It's quite easy to do, you know, once you get the hang of it. If you use OBS, I'm using OBS right now, and it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Why does he have a black and white filter? Because Doug, my friend, he doesn't want people to know how much he's aged. This is like an after and before photo. His webcam is the after, and just above God TV Radio, there's his photo there, and that's before, like 30 frigging years before. You old scruff, and I'm older than him. Yeah, yes, John, I am going to do it regularly. The next one, I'm going to start talking about TV licensing and stuff. I'm going to do like a mix, a week on Friday. I'm going to start doing it a week on Friday. I'm going to do like a mix. We'll have some flirfs on. We'll do more creationist videos, and then we'll do some TV licensing stuff as well. Yeah, turtle moves. Yeah, all the kangaroos came from a dot. Yeah. Do you know, if you watch, why can I not add turtle moves as a mod? I'll have to do it after. If you watch, it was that woman that Kent Ovin debated. I watched it earlier on, and I can't remember her name. I cannot remember her name. What's she called? Doesn't matter. Anyway, I watched that debate. It was a radio debate. Yeah, thanks, John. Thank you so much for popping in. Excellent stuff. Good friend of the channel, Jilly John Kearney. If you're struggling with TV licensing and how to be TV license free, go and check out Jilly John Kearney's channel. It's got loads of fantastic advice on there. So go on. No, it weren't Emma Thorne. It weren't Emma Thorne. Kent Hovind did a radio debate with somebody about 10 years ago. Oh, God almighty. She's a PhD. Eugene, that's it. Jeannie Scott. Thanks, John. Jeannie Scott it was, and she utterly destroyed him. Absolutely destroyed him. Right, let's get on with the second video now. That's gone, so we'll... right, this is... Jeannie Scott, yeah. This is Kent Hovind's opening statement on a channel called Standing for Truth, which couldn't be more misnamed. If ever a channel was more misnamed, it couldn't be. I don't like this guy, Donny. I just don't like him. I don't know why. Orphan Red. You know, there's two very good reasons why I like Orphan Red. And I'll bet you can't guess what they are. Anyway, this is a debate that Kent Hovind had with David Neff. He claims he destroyed David Neff. And this is Kent Hovind's opening statement. This is a debate on... what's the title? The debate was about evolution. Right? And as usual, Kent Hovind doesn't follow debate rules, like by staying on topic. And these are his rules, by the way. He insists that people stay on topic when discussing the theory of evolution. So let's have a look at Kent Hovind's opening statement.
All right, that was 12 minutes. I appreciate the opening statement there. David Neff, we are now going to hand it over to Kent. Kent, you have 12 minutes as well for an opening statement, and whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. It's good honor to be here. And David, it's obvious you've been thoroughly indoctrinated into believing you're in religion, and evolution is a religion. In spite of what you say about it, you have to believe in it.
Wrong. How many more times? Evolution is not a religion in any sense of the word. How on earth can it be? It can't be. There's no social structure with evolution. It doesn't promise life after death. It doesn't promise some, you'll sleep with you'll sleep with a dozen virgins as soon as you croak it. It doesn't promise anything like that. If you pray to evolution, nothing happens. It's a bit like, well, it's a lot like religion, but it's not, obviously. But anyway, carry on, Kent.
Nobody's ever seen any animal produce a different kind of animal. We'll talk about that in a minute. When I go out...
But Kent, you just said kind, and you never ever define the word kind. Ever. I've seen a lot of Kent's debates, and I've never ever seen Kent define the word kind. All he says is, well, in Genesis chapter 3, it says that animals bring forth after their kind. No, what Kent Hovind is doing is describing things by what they do, not by what they are. What a dick. Yeah, they should throw away the key. Yeah, definitely.
Look at the stars, I can marvel and say, wow, what a mighty God we serve. I love the Lord. I've been his child now 53 years. It's been estimated there are 70 sextillion stars. That's a lot of stars. It might be 3 times many. It may go forever. We don't know. That's in the observable universe. It's been estimated every person on Earth could own 11 trillion of them to themselves.
What on earth have stars got to do with the theory of evolution? Absolutely nothing to do with evolution whatsoever. But of course, this is Kent Hovind we're talking about.
You guys believe all of this fit in a dot smaller than a proton. There are multiple levels of stupid, but that's got...
No. I'm getting drunk, me. I don't care. I'm getting drunk. All the stars fitted into a dot of nothingness. Oh, yeah, whatever, Ken. Yeah. No, it was a rapid expansion of energy that started spinning and spinning and spinning really fast. It started off with quarks, then protons and neutrons, and then atoms. Stars didn't start forming until what, about 13 million years or something afterwards, after the Big Bang? It didn't even have light until like 340 odd thousand years after the Big Bang. Jesus Christ, this guy is dumb.
Got to be at the top of the pile to believe such a dumb thing. You can't squeeze a gallon of milk into a dot smaller than a proton, let alone all the stars in the universe. If stars are indeed forming, like you guys claim, we should see 9.7 million new stars forming every minute for 13.7 billion years. Nobody's ever seen one form. And yes, David, I'm sorry, you know you evolutionists do not like this when I do that, but this word evolution is a slippery word, has 6 different meanings. And all you want to talk about is microevolution.
6 different meanings, according to you, Mr. Horvind, Mr. Dr. Wannabe. Just this, the dishonesty of this man is just mind-boggling. Religion is all about belief and science is not. Exactly right, spot on. This guy here, Kent Horvind. Oh my God.
As if that is somehow evidence for all the rest, and it's not. First, it'd have to be cosmic evolution, the origin of time, space, matter. Where did time come from, David? What happened before time began? What about space? Where did that come from for the Big Bang to explode into?
Well, we simply don't know. What happened before the Big Bang? We just don't know. And science admits this. All we've got is hypothesis.
And matter, where did matter come from? There's a lot of matter in the world. Then those elements that came off your dumb Big Bang had to somehow form into all the different elements of our periodic table. Chemical evolution, then stellar and planetary. Nobody's ever seen a star form. Then
yes, they have. 1996, 2010. They've been seeing one, been studying one that's been forming. Planets. We know planets form as well. We've seen them form. This guy is outright lying.
Somehow you got to get life to start. And that life has to go from single cell to multi-cell. I was told that was one of your main points tonight. I'll cover that in just a second. Scientists have not created life in the laboratory.
Yes, they have. Who was it? Craig Ventnor or something? I think he took apart a bacteria, planted it into another bacteria, and created another, a life. Another kind of life. Craig Ventnor, I'm sure that was it.
That would only prove it takes intelligence to make life. It would not prove it could happen by itself in chance. Let's see, by chance. The simplest creatures on the planet, according to National Pornographic, they say
the simplest creatures on the planet. Yes, they're called young Earth creationists and flat earthers.
525 genes. Well, each gene is more complicated than an encyclopedia. And you want to say 525 of these? There's the simplest one?
You're comparing a gene to a man-made object. For God's sake.
The simplest cell is more complicated than the space shuttle. Most complex machine ever built by man that I know of. That's a single cell. New theory of organic evolution. Somehow life has to get started from non-living material in your religion.
It's not a religion, again, and abiogenesis is the theory of how life started, not how life evolved.
Organic evolution. The internet's full of this stuff. Nobody knows how a mixture of lifeless chemicals spontaneously organize themselves into the first living cell. Nobody knows. Nobody knew when he said this 20 years ago, and nobody knows now.
And nobody knows where that quote comes from because he never said it. I looked for that quote and I can't find it anywhere.
So the word evolution is a slippery word. Cosmic evolution, chemical evolution, you don't want to talk about that. Stellar and planetary, nobody wants to talk about that. But those are essential steps to get to have something to evolve.
Wrong.
That you got to have these. Then there's organic evolution. Life has to get started. Then macro, changing from one kind of animal into another. And if you don't know what a kind is, ask any 4-year-old. They can look at animals and say, those are the same kind, and this one's not the same kind in most.
No, what Kent does is just, he doesn't define the word kind, he just describes what kinds do, not what kinds are.
Cases. Nobody's got a good solid definition of species either. Macroevolution, large changes. Let's skip up here. Let's see. All except evolution. Geologists, biologists, geneticists, all accept evolution. You guys say this like it's some kind of fact. And you said in your opening, 99% of biologists agree that evolution has happened. Well, you better define what you mean by evolution.
Change over time. Duh.
And that's the central part of this entire debate, because you guys do the bait and switch constantly, okay?
He talks about the bait and switch, and he's just gone on about the Big Bang Theory when this debate was on the theory of evolution. And he goes on about stellar evolution, planetary evolution, chemical evolution. You know, the 6 levels of evolution that he made up. Jesus.
I accept the fact that cows can jump, okay? They can jump. They normally don't, but they can. I accept the fact you could probably train a cow to jump higher if you worked at him and you get him go to the gym, work out or something like that. Therefore, since I accept the fact that cows can jump, this proves beyond reasonable doubt that given enough time, a cow could jump over the moon. This is the logic you have, David. We see these little changes, therefore, bang, everything's possible. David, a cow cannot jump over the moon. A cow cannot jump over a tree, not a church, okay?
Well, you're going to have to show us where in the theory of evolution does it say that a cow will eventually jump over the moon. That's not what evolution teaches. He thinks that evolution teaches that bigger, better, stronger, and it just simply doesn't do that at all. Nowhere.
So this is how dumb the evolution theory is. You guys see, wow, cows can jump. Yeah. Then you accept the fairy tale that they jumped over the moon. I know you won't get this. Maybe some of your audience will, okay? There are 4 processes for evolution. Natural selection, genetic drift, mutations, gene flow. Mutations are the ultimate source of new alleles in a gene pool. I agree. All known mutations are harmful or fatal or neutral.
No, they're not. There's beneficial mutations as well.
Show me a good one. If you had a good mutation, you'd have to have one of the opposite sex for it to marry, and then that would have to take over the whole population. So if you had a cow with longer horns and this is going to be beneficial, well, now you got to get the whole population of other ones that don't have the long horns to die off. This is, you guys dream,
what?
You imagine, you believe evolution happened. 250 recognized breeds of cattle, 80 produced in the US typically. I accept the fact there are 250 breeds of cows. They probably had a common ancestor called a cow.
No.
Okay. Corn, 6 types of corn grown in the US. Might have had a common ancestor. 200 varieties of wheat. Might have had a common ancestor. Wheat. Okay.
No.
4,000 varieties of potatoes. They might have had a common ancestor called a potato. 300 and some species of dogs. They might have had a common ancestor called a dog. Dog, wolf.
No.
Coyote probably had a common ancestor.
Oh, but you just said. So they all had a. What? Let's go back a bit.
Common ancestor called a cow. Okay. Corn, 6 types of corn grown in the US. Might have had a common ancestor. 200 varieties of wheat. Might have had a common ancestor. Wheat. Okay.
No.
4,000 varieties of potatoes. They might have had a common ancestor called a potato. 300 and some species of dogs. They might have had a common ancestor called a dog. Dog, wolf, coyote probably had a common ancestor.
Yeah, but can dogs can't breed with wolves. So why? Yeah, corn and wheat are man-made. Exactly, dog walk. Exactly. Broccoli's man-made as well, isn't it? So he's gone on about dogs, and then he mentions coyotes and wolves and stuff. Dogs can't. Or is it dogs and foxes? No, fox. I don't know which one it is exactly, but everything under the genus or the the clade. What's the clade called? Canadia, or was it, or something like that? Anyway, they can't interbreed. I don't think wolves and dogs can interbreed. But anyway, he's just getting... Oh... It is, Grant. Yes, reviewing Kent's stuff is an exercise in futility. I think you might be right there.
This is what we all agree on.
But it makes for good comedy. It really does, because this guy is one unbelievable dick.
So 99% of all biologists would agree that all the dogs in the world had a common ancestor called a dog. But I'll tell you, David,
Yeah, dogs and foxes, that was it, yeah. Dogs and foxes can't breed. So they obviously did have a common ancestor because they look so similar. So they obviously did have a common ancestor, but that wasn't a dog, was it? So, he's on the right tree, but he's on like the wrong branch, or he's on the right branch, but the twigs are dissimilar. He's on different twigs.
4-year-old can tell you the answer to this question. Which
This is
one
going down
not
fine,
like
by the way.
Others? Dog, wolf, coyote, banana. Banana. It's obvious. The Bible says 20.
Yes, but don't mention the Bible and fruit, because God is taking the first fruits of the harvest. It says it in the Bible. It's one of the other commandments. There's like 2 sets of 10 commandments, I think. And in the other set of the commandments that these guys like this don't talk about is that God takes the first fruits. What did he say before? I just lost my bearings then.
A common ancestor. This is what we all agree on. So 99% of all biologists would agree that all the dogs in the world had a common ancestor called a dog. But I'll tell you, David, a 4-year-old can tell you the answer to this question. Which one is not like the others? Dog, wolf, coyote, banana.
But if the 5-year-old knew about eukaryotes, then he would say they were all the same, because the dog, the wolf, coyote, banana, the child, all eukaryotes will never ever stop being eukaryotes. A dog will never stop being a dog. A wolf will never stop being a wolf. And bananas being yellow, they're man-made anyway.
Banana. It's obvious. The Bible says 20 times in the first 7 chapters that they will bring forth after their kind. And if you don't like the word kind, I'm sorry. That's what it says, and it works.
Yeah, triggered lie me.
Called The Origin of Species, and nobody's ever clearly defined what a species is. If it has to do with interbreeding, there are quite a few that can no longer interbreed that are still obviously from the same ancestor.
So dogs and foxes can't breed, and you're talking about interbreeding, but they can't breed, but they obviously had a common ancestor. But you're saying dogs were on the ark, and all. You're falling over yourself here. He's falling over himself.
Microevolution. This is science. Variations happen within the kind. Evolutionary change within a species or small group of organisms, especially over a short period. Pesticide resistance, herbicide resistance, antibiotic resistance. Examples of microevolution. I agree. It happens. It works. And that's where it stops. The cow can jump maybe 2-3 feet. That's where it stops. It's not going to go over the moon.
Well, no, it's not, because that's not what evolution teaches anyway.
You guys dream it goes forever. They give examples of microevolution on the internet. Sparrow populations in the north have larger bodies than sparrow populations in the south. Well, it's cold up north, and they need a bigger body to survive the winter.
So what they did, actually, the sparrows in the north, they actually adapted to their environment over time. I think there's a word for that, and I think it's evolution.
So probably those with a heavier body would gradually take over the population. It's still a sparrow. That's a variation of a bird. All Darwin saw on his islands was 14 varieties of bird. Same a finch. He did not see any evolution. He saw natural selection at work, and then dreamed that it went beyond what was the obvious. They're still a bird. Single cells evolve large multicellular forms. This, you got to be careful. David, I've heard you believe this. Single cells can get together to make a multi-celled creature. This is not true, okay?
It's not true because he says it's not true. And I wish that he could zoom in to the bottom of that tree of life that he's got up there because Kent Orvin says that life came from a rock. We evolved from rocks, and I can't see on that tree of life anywhere a rock. But he thinks that we evolved from rocks, because if he's including like the 6 versions of evolution, like stellar and all the rest of it, and chemical evolution, if he's including all them in the theory of evolution, why is he not including rocks in that tree of life that he's just put up?
Evolutionary tree of life, which is pure imagination, starts with a single cell at the bottom, the origin of life, and then gradually evolves into everything. In your religion, you believe pine trees are related to frogs. You really do. I don't know how to explain to you. That's not science, and you won't accept it. We see varieties of armadillos. We see varieties of possums, varieties of dogs. Outside that circle is science. There's a whole bunch of family trees, but it does not mean they come together in the middle. Inside, it's a religion. Let's see. How did a single cell evolve into a multi-celled organism? Downloaded today. Multicellular organisms arise in various ways: cell division or by aggregation of many single cells. Oh, really? A bunch of cells can get together and become a multi-celled creature? Really? This is a giant problem for the evolutionary theory.
It's not. It's how it works, actually, because cells come together, they divide, don't they? And cells divide, cells join up. What's the problem with that? I don't get it at all.
How do you get from, first of all, how do you get a single cell to come alive, period? That's a major problem. But then the next one is, how do you get multicellular creatures? Humans have about 100 trillion cells in their body, all working together to accomplish the job of keeping you alive. Very, very complicated. See, Darwin's...
So cells divide, and then they divide and divide and divide, and then eventually...
proposed the existence of an evolutionary starting point and a primordial organism from which all modern life descended. This started the search for the last universal common ancestor, Luca. Most likely a single-celled organism between 3 and 4 billion years ago. You'd be sure to add time. That'll cure it, okay? All species evolved from single-cell, study finds. National Geographic, 10 years ago. Really. All life on Earth evolved from a single-celled organism. Scientists have witnessed a single-celled algae evolve into a multicellular organism. Did they really? No, they did not. They observed some of them get together and lock together to protect themselves from a predator, is all they observed. In this incredible experiment, the team was trying to find out exactly what drove single-celled organisms to become multicellular.
So these scientists are wrong. These scientists who have actually studied and tested their hypothesis and their theory, they are wrong, but this guy with an opinion is right. Okay, right. He says it's wrong, therefore it's wrong. He hasn't studied this. He hasn't tested it for himself. So he thinks that everything's, bullcrap.
All those millions of years ago. One hypothesis is that predation. Somebody was eating a predator. 1 minute. Oh, I got plenty on this, David. Bring this up. We'll go back to that. Locking arms together for protection is not being dragged, and to not be dragged off does not mean they are now one organism.
Answer me this, Kent, if you're watching. How many arms does bacteria have?
It's a bunch of guys hanging onto each other so they can't get washed away with the tide, but they're still individual people. Protesters lock arms after what happened? The algae multicellular evolution study was debunked, and there's a great article about it by Jeffrey Dawkins on ICR.org. Okay. Headline: Scientists witnessed a single-celled algae. They said, no, they didn't. One of the major hurdles was how life first transitioned from unicellular to multicellular, and they give a long article here. The predators were going after these little single-celled creatures, so they locked together. They never functioned together as a single organism.
Well, yes, they do. All life does that. The cells locked together and formed together and made you, Kent, unfortunately.
Okay, let's see. Scientists who reject God will latch onto virtually any natural phenomena and put some strange twist on it to support their paradigm. You can read the article for yourself on ICR.org. So I think you're dreaming There is no evidence at all, ever, in the history of the world, that any animal has ever produced a different kind of animal. This is something you believe. You can believe it very strongly. But
Define kind.
it's not science. I don't mind you guys believing anything you want to believe. You can believe the cow jumped over the moon. I do mind that you want everybody to teach your religion and pay to teach your religion in our public schools.
He's grandstanding now. I resent this, that evolution should be taught in schools. I resent this, and he's tried for years to get evolution out of schools. Crazy dude. Crazy dude.
Those of you who believe in evolution should go start a private school, charge tuition, make kids learn whatever you want them to learn. The Muslims have their school, the Catholics have their school, the evolutionists can have their school. But it should not be involved in public education. It's not science. It's a religion, David. Go ahead.
This man is unbelievable. It's not science. Well, of course it is. Oh. Right, let's go through the side chat. Quick. Yeah. Palm tree still hot, yeah. Bruce D, yep, spot on. Scientists don't know that they're right. They just have an idea, don't they? Yes, exactly right. The cough, yeah, he should really get that looked at, because I've seen billboards in this country where if you have a persistent cough for more than 3 weeks, you should go and get it checked out. And he's been coughing like a turd for, and shaking like a shitting dog for every debate that I've ever seen him in. Yep. How you doing anyway, Bruce D? I hope you're all right. So let's move on to the next video, shall we? This is one of my favourite debates. This is Aaron Ra versus Kent Hovind. It wasn't a debate. It was billed as a discussion on the Non Sequitur show, I think about 3 years ago now. And Aaron Ra utterly obliterates this man. He completely destroys him. So let's have a shufty.
Well, I don't think either one of these gentlemen kind of need any kind of introductions.
I'm going to use that word even more in future conversations. The word shufty. I like the word shufty.
By now, I think anybody knows who they are. However, for this discussion, I think that they both should spend at least a minute or two kind of introducing themselves, giving their position, and
yeah, it is meth, not COVID.
and why they're having this discussion.
That made me laugh, that. Meth, not COVID.
And then we'll kind of jump right into it, and kind of have just a free-for-all organic conversation between the both of them.
I feel a bit tipsy,
Ken, I want you, if you're possible, can you start, give about 1 or 2 minutes, explain who you are, your position, and then we'll have Aaron do the same?
Certainly, yes, sir. Thank you for having me here. I'm 65 years old. My name's Kent Hovind. I've been a Baptist, ordained Baptist preacher since 1974. I taught high school science and math in Christian schools for 15 years. I've been a full-time.
You didn't teach high school maths and science at all. You lied to children in church, and that's all you did.
Evangelist, speaking on creation versus evolution for about 30 years now. I take the position that the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate, and the evolution theory is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of humanity. And those are the nice things we say about it.
Okay. Is that all you want to say?
Well, yeah, we're building a Christian park in a campground, actually, in Lenox, Alabama, straight north of Pensacola. Dinosaur Adventureland. It'll be
quick shout out. District Driver, Alan L. How are you doing, my friend? I hope you're all right.
Simple science experiments to teach biblical lessons, and you guys can come on down. We have a lot of fun. We have 10 lakes on the property. Someone gave us the property, and we're having all kinds of things. We hope to be open April 21st. My website is drdino.com, and the phone number, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3, takes right straight to my cell phone. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Aaron, why don't you go ahead and take a minute or two, kind of tell people who you are and your positions on all this.
My name is Aaron Ra. I had it legally changed for my state Senate position, and because it's the name that I wanted to appear when I both ran for office, and of course also on my book. It's on all my publications for the last 10 years. And it's on my driver's license, my credit cards, Wikipedia, all of that. So I am the Southwest Regional Director of American Atheists, and I'm the director of the Phylogeny Explorer Project. And we do, my wife and I, we do educational videos, and I have a channel.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Want last-minute brand design help?
I tried pressing pause, right.
Get top-tier Fiverr freelance creatives at your fingertips fast.
Press pause and I press rewind instead. Or the previous video. Oh, don't tell me it's gone off now. Oh, bollocks. What have I done here? Help me out. Hang on. There we go. There we go. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Sorry, folks. Sorry, folks. Sorry,
Dinosaur Adventureland. It'll be a simple.
Aaron, why don't you kind of start us off, or
Misdescription of that, and it's appropriate.
you said it may take a while, but if
Hang on. Somebody asked. The blue wrench is moderator, Sven. But I think because you're a channel member, you don't need one. Yeah, I think because ring him. I thought about ringing him a few times, ringing his neck. Yes, Sven. Sven Bellens. Yeah, I can't add you under. It won't let me add you as a moderator because I don't think you have a channel. But because you're a channel member, you've got more access than anybody really. And because you're a Patreon, thank you very, very much anyway for being a patron. You got more access to me than anybody else. Alrighty. Oh, by the way, I just want to say a quick message to Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones, it was your first day back at work after being struck down by COVID. For about 4 days last week, Mrs. Jones was flat on her back. What's new? But she's all better now and absolutely fine with everything. Anyway, back to the debate.
Barnes kind of cool with it, then you want to lead in with that and we can go from there?
Yeah.
No, Aaron had done a YouTube, 4 or 5 days ago, and I already did a quick YouTube for our listeners, but technical problems. It's not posted yet. It's coming though, so I don't need to do that. Let Aaron go first. I'd like to hear his position.
All right. Well, my position is that obviously counter yours completely. I mean, I would say that the reason that the Bible is absolutely wrong about absolutely everything is because it was obviously written by ignorant, bigoted, primitive, superstitious savages who clearly had no idea what they were talking about.
Yes, you do, Doug. You do know where I live, my friend. Yeah. Me and Doug, just for a bit of backstory, me and Doug go way, 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 way back. About 40 years, I think, now. Grew up together. He lived in the street opposite, went to the same schools, everything. Very, very good friend of mine is Doug.
And that's why there's nothing that can be verified accurate, but a whole lot that is laughably stupid about what the Bible describes about the world. In fact, the way everything the Bible says about the earth in relation to the rest of the cosmos, any indication about genetics or history, anything, is embarrassingly dumb. Yeah, and there is, of course, no truth to any of your claims about evolution being a religion, for example. This is just an attempt at projection where you're trying to cast your own faults onto those who will not share them. And it's an attempt at the fallacy of false equivalence, which is what I think you meant to talk about, I'm sure, because that deals with most of your arguments, that and equivocation.
Ken?
Well, okay. Well, before we get into a discussion too far on the topic of evolution, we need.
Hi, Rob Barton. I hope you're okay. Thanks for joining.
To define what we're talking about. And for many years, I think you've obviously seen many times my division of that word into 6 different categories.
Yes, those are inaccurate, so we're gonna go with the correct definition. I know that you've actually bragged many times that people have corrected your misdescription of that, and it's appropriate that they correct you on this. I don't know why you don't correct yourself when you keep repeating an error. So when we talk about evolution, unless otherwise specified, because there is a colloquial meaning that doesn't apply to biological evolution or the science of evolution or certainly the theory of evolution, which pertains only to the aspect or theory of biodiversity, which can be summarily defined as genetic variance in reproductive populations over time, or a change in allele frequencies in reproductive populations over time.
Okay,
now, I can give a longer definition, but still it's going to be within the confines of biology.
Okay, so you're saying the word evolution only encompasses the living things that have already come alive somehow. So you're leaving out any kind of organic evolution, or what I was.
Thanks to everyone that said best wishes for Mrs. Jones. I will pass those messages on.
No such thing as organic evolution. If we're talking about abiogenesis, that's a overlapping series of different processes. None of them are the evolutionary process, which is descent with inherent genetic modification.
Okay, so is this descent with genetic modification limited in any way, or do you think elephants and pine trees are related?
Well, definitely, I think that elephants and pine trees are related, and that is a demonstrable fact, yes.
And how would you demonstrate the fact that elephants and pine trees are related?
One of the the primary way is phylogeny, which is kind of what I'm all about. It's my hobby that has become, thankfully, my job. Directing the Phylogeny Explorer project, which is an attempt to depict the entire phylogenetic tree of life as a navigable online encyclopedia of the entire cladistic system.
Okay, so just for the audience's sake, you are what I would say skipping the first 5 definitions of what I call evolution, the cosmic.
What only you and people who do not know science call evolution.
Okay, I think every textbook from every public school teaches all these as part of the general overarching principle.
Except that none of them, no textbook anywhere ever described what you describe as evolution.
Do you know, I'm so glad that Aaron has called him out on this, because I don't see many people in debates with Kent Ovin. I don't see many people calling him out on this, but I'm glad Aaron Ra's done this. Very clever bloke, Aaron Ra.
Unless you want to get into A. Becker or some of the other Christian deliberate misrepresentations to try to deceive students. But if you're talking about actual scientific documents, nobody agrees with the way you misrepresent this. So we're going to keep evolution as descent with inherent genetic modification.
So descent with inherent genetic modification. So they already have the ability to reproduce. They already are alive. They're already able to move, replicate, and ingest, digest food. You've already bypassed the major hurdles that are going to be a great obstacle to your religion.
I don't have a religion,
certainly do.
We absolutely certainly do not. We're about to prove that. Kent,
Okay.
I want to hear your infantile definition of what a religion is, and let's see how you've explored that.
You can look it up in any dictionary. Look it up in Wiki.
Kent Hovind, Aaron Ra just asked Kent Hovind what his definition of religion was. He didn't ask for a definition of religion. He asked for his definition.
Wikipedia.
Well, I have actually looked it up in a lot of different dictionaries. When I took a course on comparative or the history of comparative world religions, our professor there challenged us, saying that religion was something that he thought was impossible to define. I didn't think it was impossible to define because I do classification and I understand the rules for how to classify things. And as a matter of fact, I made this a little easier. I posted a collection of definitions that are relevant to this subject some years ago, back in 2012. I put something called Offerings to the Atheist Dictionary, because these are words that are comically is correct, that are comically misrepresented whenever you're arguing with creationists. The definition of religion that I came up with by examining all the different things that are universally accepted as religion by both their adherents and their critics are a doctrine of ritual traditions, ceremonies, mythology, and associated dogma of a faith-based belief system which posits a posthumous promise that some element of self, be it a soul or consciousness or memories, etc., may in some sense continue beyond the death of a physical being. Now, this applies to every religion that is universally accepted as a religion and doesn't, and evolution, however, meets exactly none of these criteria. So
I just want to thank the mods for keeping an eye on the chat. If anybody posts any links, like if I'm getting porn bombed or anything, just block the channels. I think you can do that as mods. Just block the channels. If anybody comes out with anything that we may disagree with, let them speak. But as far as it goes, porn bombing, and if it's spam, just hide the channel.
So I want to hear what you define as a religion and how we can distinguish things that are not religion from things that are.
But thank you anyway.
Okay, I would like to ask Kyle or one of the moderators to kind of keep time here, because Aaron keeps over-talking me and monopolizing the conversation. This is supposed to be a discussion. I would like equal time.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay.
He's asked you a question. We're going to give you ample time to respond to his question with a direct answer for a direct question.
I have up on screen the definition from Random House Webster's College Dictionary, year 2000, page 1116. Religion, a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe. That is what fits your religion of evolutionism.
Except that
to
it
the T.
doesn't.
It does. It's exactly
No, it doesn't, because evolution has nothing to do with the cause of the universe, nor certainly not the purpose of it.
Does it have to do with the nature of the universe, how things work?
How things work, yes.
Okay, well then you
but
have a
not
religion.
with the universe.
Okay, you believe that dogs, you believe that whales, I think it was elephants and pine trees are related.
They're
One's
both
ever seen
eukaryotes, are they not?
No one's ever seen an elephant produce anything but an elephant.
They are both eukaryotes, are they not?
It doesn't matter. They're both living.
Why does it not matter?
They're both above ground. They both
Yes, and
ingest
they're both eukaryotes, correct?
It doesn't matter. You're missing
It
the
certainly
point.
does matter. But
Okay.
the question is not whether
Of
it
course it
matters.
matters.
The question is whether or not they are eukaryotes.
You're missing the point completely.
No. You are missing the point. Are they both eukaryotes, yes or no?
As far as I know, they are. That doesn't.
Yes.
So does
Have
that
you ever
prove
seen
they're
a
related?
eukaryote give birth to a non-eukaryote?
Does that prove they're related?
Within the phylogeny, yes, it does.
Okay, now, since you keep talking about phylogeny and said this is your area of expertise, I would like to just ask you, you're on a show called the non sequitur, which I think is classic. A non sequitur is a conclusion or statement that does not logically follow from the previous argument or statement.
Well, you've just described yourself in one sentence there. Kent Hovind has just described himself in one sentence. Doesn't follow on from the previous statement or argument. So why is he papping on about the Big Bang Theory when he's in a debate about evolution?
I think we can give examples of elephants producing elephants and pine trees producing pine trees. It does not logically follow that they are related.
Why would that not logically follow? I need to explain something to you that you've been repeating incorrectly for years. I've been listening to you get this wrong for 20 years, and I'm delighted that maybe I'm the first person out of all the people you talk to. It can't be that I'm the first person to address this, but I keep hearing you repeat this error. So let me address that now.
It is not an error. It is not an error.
The law of monophily.
You are in error. You are in error, and I'm here to fix it.
You have no idea what I'm even going to say, and when I'm done saying it, you still won't have any idea what I said.
You have no idea, Aaron. You have no idea what you're saying. I will help you here. Religion is a belief, and you have.
Don't pretend.
You have
I know
a
that you
belief.
made a life out of pretending, but that's not what we're going to do. I'm addressing your error. Just be very clear.
Hold it.
And
All
then
right,
you
you are the one pretending. You are pretending that a pine tree and an elephant are related. Come on, that's a pretend.
Okay. I don't need to pretend that. I'm trying to demonstrate something to you. I'm trying to explain something to you, and you're trying to talk over me to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Well,
spot on. Absolutely spot on. Kent is trying to derail the conversation in any way, shape, or form. He's trying to derail it because he knows, even like 10 minutes in, 14 minutes in, he knows he's getting beat.
Go back and listen to the tape. Who's talking over who here?
Okay, let's.
Tape? Really?
Talking over me, I'm trying to explain something to you.
Let's kind of keep this. Let's keep this to where everybody can follow. Okay.
Okay.
Kent, I'm gonna let you go and explain your thought process as to why Aaron is in error with that statement. So Aaron, please let him.
Real quick.
Let him finish and then go from there.
Let's make sure we get the names right. It's Aaron. Aaron Ra is actually his name, not Aaron, not Eric, not whatever. It's Aaron.
Okay. Let's keep it on track so everybody that's listening can kind of follow, because you can't understand what either of you are saying when you're jumping over each other. So just let Kent finish out his thought, Aaron, and then we'll shoot it over to you, and you can counter. Okay.
A week ago, I asked you to ask.
Sorry about the ads, and I'm even more sorry than Madness was playing there. I hate Madness with every fibre in my body. I really do. Cannot stand that band, me.
Aaron, what is the best evidence for evolution? He responded by saying it is systematic phylogenetics. And he said in his little 3-minute YouTube clip, the only way Hovind can counter that is to meet the phylogeny challenge, which no creationist will ever even attempt to do. Okay, first place, I'll help correct you a little bit here, Aaron. It is phylogenetic systematics, not systematic phylogenetics, but that's okay. According to evolution.berkeley.edu, all life on Earth is united by evolutionary history. We are all evolutionary cousins, twigs on the tree of life. Phylogenetic systematics is the formal name for the field within biology that reconstructs evolutionary history and studies the patterns of relationships among organisms. Unfortunately, history is not something we can see. That is correct. Phylogenetic, from the dictionary, just Googled it on Google here, relating to the evolutionary development and diversification of a species or group of organisms, or of a particular feature of an organism, for instance, the teeth or the bone structure, etc. And I'm holding in front of me, I'll show it from Encyclopedia Britannica 2005, a phylogenetic tree based on the nucleotide differences in the gene for cytochrome C. And
yeah, Andy's Bailey, yeah. You want a pint of whatever? I don't know. It does look good. That I'm not a beer drinker. I'm a lager drinker, but you know, he considers himself a beer snob. He loves the good stuff.
And they have all these creatures with lines drawn between them, showing that a human, a monkey, a dog, a horse, a pig, etc., and a moth and a screwworm and a tuna are all related to a.
Can we get rid of that, sister? Remove hide user on this channel. Yeah. That's Sylvester Bradford. Can somebody get rid of that, please?
Ancestor. They draw these lines on the paper, and that becomes their science. Now, I'm curious, why did they choose to use the phylogenetic tree based on cytochrome C?
Thanks, Dog Walker.
Why did you make a tree based on the number of chromosomes, or based on the adult body weight, or based on life expectancy, or based on life or gestation period, or based on average number of offspring, or based on the number of teeth?
They have to focus on derived synapomorphies.
All of the.
If you based how things are related just by gestation period, elephants will be out on their own, won't they? Because they have a gestation period of about 12 months. So they'll be, you know, well out on their own. This is why it's not done that way. What a dick.
These things are features, and if you do a phylogenetic tree on any of these things, you get a wildly different tree. For example, penicillin has 2 chromosomes. Houseflies and tomatoes both have 12. If you did a phylogenetic tree, you would say houseflies and tomatoes are identical twins. Possum, redwood tree, and kidney beans all have 22 chromosomes. They are not identical triplets. Humans have 46 chromosomes, and chimpanzees and tobacco both have 48. So if you did a phylogenetic tree based on anything other than what you want to believe, that there's somehow a relationship, you would get wildly different answers. So I think the evidence shows very clearly that you're choosing and selecting a particular phylogenetic tree that anybody can make up. You can arrange things in any kind of order you want and draw lines between them, but all the phylogenetic trees are nothing but lines on paper that somebody decided to make a relationship. Like you think a pine tree and an elephant are related. That's a line on a piece of paper, Arn. That's not science. Science is something we observe, we study, we test, we demonstrate. Everybody that's ever done it will tell you elephants make baby elephants. No.
So if science is something we can observe, test, and demonstrate, that must explain why young Earth creationists have never ever explained or observed, tested, and demonstrated anything that's in the Bible, or, you know, anything about creation or anything like that. Because you can't observe, test, and demonstrate creation.
Exceptions. Now, if you choose to believe, and I emphasize the word believe because it is a religious belief that you have, that elephants and pine trees are related, that's fine. I don't care what you believe. But I resent paying for that to be taught to all the kids in the school system. That is not science. That's a religion in every sense of the word. Go ahead.
In no sense of the word is that a religion, because it is not faith-based, it's evidence-based. And it has nothing to do with any purpose for anything, much less anything to do with the beginning of the universe or what came prior to it. Nor does it require a belief. I would suggest that we both start from not believing anything and just review the possibilities. And one of the things we have to look at is the Law of Monophyle, which is an evolutionary law. This is the one that Ernst Mayr described as Darwin's second law of common ancestry. And this
I'm not sure, Sven. He doesn't describe what he's drinking in his debate. But He does drink like proper beer, like stuff that's brewed and not this lager stuff here. He does drink proper beer, and some of it does look pretty good. He imports it as well for some. The Belgians make the best beer in the world, and he gets that from, he drinks beer from Belgium.
This is where he says that multiplication of species is Darwin's third law, and this is the one that I refer to as biodiversity. In either case, it means that one species may diversify into 2, into 4, and 8, and etc., but that in every daughter lineage, evolution is just a matter of superficial changes being compiled against successive tiers of fundamental similarities. And it is those tiers of fundamental similarities which can be interpreted as derived synapomorphies, which is what they're basing the phylogeny on.
Yeah,
I have heard creationists argue that a watermelon is 98% water and a cloud is 100% water, and so a watermelon only missed being a cloud by 2%. Or that we could classify an octopus as being an ink pen since it spits ink, and we can classify it as a spider because it has 8 legs. And these are all deliberate attempts to avoid the fact.
Again?
Avoid the fact of what? That an octopus is related to an ink pen? What?
Do you understand the law of monophily? As I just described, it means that you can't outgrow your ancestry. That means at no point in evolutionary history did one kind, which doesn't exist, ever become another kind, which doesn't exist either.
Banktop Breweries. Banktop Breweries. I'll bet Aaron Rat is not drinking Banktop Breweries. Maybe I'll laugh that one. Yeah, he does. I think he's admitted in one stream that he drinks beer from Belgium. Because obviously, they brew the best beer and everything. But he drinks local brews as well, like 10, 14%, 15% proof. So he knows his stuff about beer as well as he does about evolution. And yes, Beethoven was arrested for not paying taxes. He was found out on 48 indictments, and he was found guilty on every single one and spent 9 years in prison for it.
You just told me that elephants and pine trees are related. You do
right,
believe
and they're still eukaryotes,
kinds.
Aren't they?
So that's
so
all
they're
it
still
takes.
eukaryotes, aren't they?
So that proves they're related.
Are they still eukaryotes or no?
Yes. Does that prove
okay,
they're
good.
related?
And they never became a different kind, ever, did
so
they?
your definition of kind would include a pine tree and an elephant as the same kind of creature.
Are they both eukaryotes or no?
Are you drunk?
Are they both eukaryotes?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. Kent trying to derail the conversation. He knows he's getting beat. Are you drunk? Are you drunk?
Then they are both the same kind in that respect, right?
This nobody's definition of kind. Ask a 5-year-old.
Sure? What happens when we look at the Bible, for example? What the Bible says about kinds?
The
Bible mentions the beast kind.
Yeah, Kent Orvind, his defence in court before he got sent to prison for fiddling his taxes or what have you. His defence was he wasn't a citizen of America, he was a citizen of the state of Texas, or one state in America. He said he was a citizen of the state, and that the laws of America didn't apply to him. That was his defence in court, or one of his defences in court, which shows you the level of intelligence that this man has.
10 times
about that.
Okay, no, wait a minute. 10 times in Genesis.
We're talking about the beast kind. Can you identify what is and isn't in the beast kind?
Well, let me say what you asked. What the Bible says. The Bible, in the very first chapter, Genesis chapter 1, 10 times says they will bring forth after their kind. So the kind has to do with bringing forth, and I can help you here. I taught biology. Elephants and pine trees cannot bring forth.
See, yet again, he's describing kinds by what they do, not by what they are. He's not describing a kind. He's describing what a kind does. He's not in any way he's describing a kind here. He's just describing kinds by what they do. It's like what the Bible does. It describes whales as fish, for instance, and it's describing something, it's describing a particular species of animal by what it does. Or something's in the sea, it swims in the sea, it must be a fish. And that's what the Bible does. It just describes by things what they are, by things what they do, and not what they are.
Because
Whether
of
they're
the
eukaryote.
evolutionary law of monophily, we have
No,
one cannot
no.
become a different kind. You can speciate. You can get to a point where you have speciation, where they no longer can interbreed with the parent stock or maybe with their sister species, but they didn't become a different kind. They are still the parent category that they belonged to, and this applies to everything in the human phylogeny. We still belong to every one of our ancestral clades.
Kent, explain to everybody what you mean by kind, so that we're all on the same page. Aaron just explained what he meant, so you kind of go through what.
And Kent, can you explain in kinds in reference to what Aaron's saying in regards to monophyletic clade? When he's talking about Meyer's law of monophily, can you kind of join them together to explain your version of a kind in relationship to something in a monophyletic clade?
Yeah, like Flirt's teach navigation. Yeah, I'll go with that, dog walker, definitely. And yes, Morris, a paper bag could beat Kent. I'd love to debate. I've offered Matt Powell a debate challenge. He thinks that surfing monkeys surfed on like little rafts and stuff. So I've offered to debate him on this subject, and I've asked him, and so far he's not got back to me. He still believes that evolution teaches that dinosaurs fighted themselves to death, and I've offered to debate him on that particular subject as well. I said you can have any partner that you want if you want one. I said we'll have it but it must be on a neutral platform. I've got a neutral platform ready to go. I've got a neutral mod ready to go, just waiting on Matt Powell. And that's been a few weeks now, and he's still not got back to me. I wonder why.
Well, let's take this one question at a time. The Bible 10 times in Genesis chapter 1 mentions the word kind, and 10 more times in the flood story, Genesis 6 and 7. So 20 times in the first 7 chapters, it talks about Noah bringing the animals in the 6 and 7, chapter 6 and 7, bringing the animals onto the ark after their kind. So it has to do with bringing forth, and for them to get 2 of each kind on board the ark. I can assure you a pine tree and an elephant are not the same kind of animal in the biblical way of thinking, or in anybody else.
Are either one of them in the beast kind?
A pine tree is not in the beast kind, no.
But an elephant is?
An elephant is a beast. It's a beast of the earth.
Okay,
yes,
how many different types of beasts?
He was going to say a beast of burden then, wasn't he? He was going to say that, a beast of burden, and it's not, is it?
Are within the elephant or within the beast kind? Well, and how can we distinguish them?
Well, the current estimate is there are 7,000 or 8,000 kinds of animals on land.
How many of them are beasts?
Breathe air. That would be
how many of them belong to the beast kind?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Okay, so we have kinds within kinds?
The Bible also says that they went on the ark 2 by 2. That was 2 clean beasts and 7 unclean beasts. But it doesn't describe what unclean beasts were, and it doesn't describe what clean beasts were. So which one was it?
Well,
there are different kinds of beasts. There's not just the beast kind. There's also kinds of beasts within the beast kind.
Well, that's a great question. But see, I'm not asking for my theory to be taught at taxpayer expense. You are. So the burden
and the one I have is actually actually justified, and yours is not. You're arguing for kinds, which means did you catch when I said that the only way to address this would be to address the phylogeny challenge? Did you follow that? Do you even know what the phylogeny challenge is?
I do, but let's just fix
okay, what is the phylogeny challenge?
Arn, hold on 1 second. Arn, let him finish out an answer. Go ahead, Kent. We're going to give you the time to finish out your answer, and Arn, let him.
Yeah, you're bringing up 5 or 6 topics. Okay, I will stand by the Bible, which says very clearly the animals bring forth after their kind. Therefore, the ability to bring forth seems to be directly related into deciding what exactly is a kind. I think we could demonstrate. I'm going to show up some pictures here we're going to video this for people. There are 200 recognized species of squirrels in the world. They are the same kind of animal called a squirrel. That's from National Geographic.
Anything other than squirrels that are in that kind?
In the squirrel kind, I don't know.
Is there a squirrel? Okay, so there's a squirrel kind. So God created a primordial group of a pair, I guess, of squirrels. And then he created is there a chipmunk kind as well?
Now, whether the chipmunk and squirrel are related would be a good study for biology. But
yeah, it would define what a kind is.
Hang on. Didn't Kent teach high school maths and science in Christian schools? And he doesn't know? Hang on, let me just skip back a bit there.
Are the same kind of animal called a squirrel. That's from
Are there
National
anything
Geographic.
other than squirrels that are in that kind?
In the squirrel kind, I don't know.
Is there a squirrel? Okay, so there's a squirrel kind. So God created a primordial group of a pair, I guess, of squirrels.
That could
and then he created is there a chipmunk kind as well?
Now, whether the chipmunk and squirrel are related would be a good study for biology. But
yeah,
I think
it would define what a kind is.
So squirrel and chipmunk, Kent taught high school maths and biology and science, etc., and he doesn't know if a squirrel and a chipmunk are related. He's not a very good teacher, is he?
Sure.
So did God create two rodents that wait, there's a rodent kind. So now we have squirrels, we have chipmunks, and we have do we have rabbits in that? Are we going to put Lagomorphs into that same kind as well?
And you're talking over me again. I don't interrupt you. Now listen, there are 200 recognized species, and I'll use the word species, of squirrels. I think they're probably all interfertile. There are 350 breeds of horses. You get into different names here, what they mean. What is a breed name? What is a species? What is a family, a genus, a kind? The biblical definition of kind was given.
Yeah, I've heard that. Red and grey squirrels can't interbreed, can they? I've heard that.
Or the word kind was used way before Carolus Linnaeus was ever thought of. So Carolus Linnaeus came up with our current classification system. There are the horses, for instance, the horse, the zebra can interbreed. The ass, the Shetland pony, you can get a zebra, a shebra, a zebrass, a zedonk, a zeonki, a zorse. They probably are the same kind. I don't know exactly where the line is, but I think it's pretty obvious in most cases that.
Well, clearly not.
Well, for heaven's sake, Aaron, you think a pine tree and an elephant are the same kind?
So he doesn't know where the line is. He denies the line. He denies that the line is there, and he doesn't know where the line is. This is why Aaron Wright, he just calls him out on everything. Does Aaron Wright? He just calls Kent Orvin out on everything that he's saying, and fair play to him. He does this. King Crocoduck did it as well in their debate.
What on earth is wrong?
But
here?
you think there are kinds within kinds, and that we have the squirrel kind and we have the chipmunk kind, both within the rodent kind. So it sounds like you're defining what clades are, which of course would all connect to each other because trees and elephants are both eukaryotes, as we said. So at what point do we get to where God created a primordial pair who then diversified into all these other clades?
Well, that, like I said, would be a great field of study.
That's the phylogeny challenge.
Yeah, spot on. So why can't he do that? Doesn't it say in the Bible? Doesn't it define kinds in the Bible? This is your claim. This is Kent Horvin's claim. He says that, the Bible defines kinds. But it doesn't. It just defines kinds by what they do, not by what they are.
Well,
so you have to show me, and I made a video about this for anybody that's curious. Please look up the phylogeny challenge. It is the death knell for all creationist arguments because it can't be addressed.
So Aaron, you're asking in the phylogeny challenge for the original type of pair that created all the other supposed kinds and subclassifications.
Yeah, if there was any truth to creationism whatsoever, or if the theory of evolution was fundamentally flawed in any way, then there would have to be a point where, as Kent does, he accepts a certain degree of phylogeny, but it.
Wow. Just got a super chat off the Sun Express. Thank you so much. $20. Appreciate the work that you do. Some dude from the Caribbean. My friend, I wished I lived in the Caribbean right now. I really do. Especially with its lovely weather over there. But the Sun Express, you're amazing. Thank you so much. It's much appreciated. And the cat's going daft. And I need a wee. So I'm going to nip off. I'm just going to let you guys watch this just for a minute or two. While I nip off for a Riley.
It has to trace back to an original set of created kinds. And it can't be, that would be an interesting question since they're both rodents. And both rodents are eutherians. And all eutherians are mammals. And you can trace it all the way back to eukaryotes.
Would that have
so
to
where is the dividing line?
Too? With the phylogeny challenge, would it also have to show and demonstrate speciation rates to show this original mating pair to diversify to all these species that are out there relating to whatever the original kind that Kent is referring to?
Well, the speciation rate isn't really relevant unless you put a time constraint on it.
7,000 years.
Okay,
Well, yeah, if he's going to imply his own time constraint, then he has this issue
Okay.
that he would have to address as well, because that's
Okay,
just going to further complicate his position.
I will gladly address that if you stop interrupting and bringing up 20 more topics. Okay.
It's the same topic. It's been the same topic.
Okay, the Bible says they will bring forth after their kind. I will make the statement that probably Noah had 2 squirrels on the ark. They have diversified into 200 species of squirrels. Black ones, white ones, brown ones. That is not evident, and that could happen in 4,400 years. We have 339 breeds of dogs that have been developed in the last 300 years. Yes, it can happen very quickly. There are biological factors, like the Kaibab and the Abert squirrel, just by geographic isolation across the Grand Canyon, have developed and look pretty different. Whether they're still reproductively capable, I don't know. Put them together and find out. There are 800 breeds of cattle recognized worldwide. And they fall into 2 main types, according to Wikipedia, just a couple days ago, yesterday, okay? So 800 breeds of cattle, I think we would agree, are probably the same kind of animal. Noah might have had 10 cows on the ark, or 20, and we now have 800 breeds. I don't know what he had on the ark. I'm not asking for mine to be taught at taxpayer expense. But if you think a cow and a pine tree are related, and an elephant and a bacteria, I think that's a stretch of anybody's imagination. I have some pictures here of, for instance, the different cats in the cat family. Here's a jag lion, a cross between a jaguar and a lion. So possibly the jaguar and a lion are the same biblical kind. There's a bobcat lynx cross. There are 30 recognized breeds of chickens in the world, and it says the jungle fowl is the original bird from which all varieties and strains of domesticated chickens are derived. Man has developed domesticated chickens. Some lay more eggs, some have more meat, some live longer, some produce more offspring. They can select for a certain characteristic that they want, but they're still a chicken. And a 5-year-old knows that. They could recognize right away the difference between a chicken and a pine tree. Why you can't, I don't know. But
What do
they
you mean
are
I
different.
can't? I just read to you the law of monophily, which shows that you can't, there's always going to be a chicken. It's never going to not be a chicken. All its descendants, no matter how much they change, they're going to still be chickens. Why? Because of the law of monophily. And those chickens are still going to be neonath birds. They're still going to be birds. Not the bird kind, because the Bible doesn't describe what a kind is. Matter of fact, it says there's all sorts of birds, and it doesn't describe what a sort is either. But we have the idea that we have all kinds of birds. So we have kinds within kinds, which sounds like it's describing the same thing as clades, but the difference being, and this is the important thing that you keep missing, is that there has to be a point where they're not all related. So it says all kinds of birds, implying that there's different kinds of birds. So there were individual creations, yet they're all birds. So why are they not the bird kind?
Well,
So can you give me those? Give me a distinction between kinds.
You mentioned the law of monophily. What is the ancestor between the pine tree and the elephant? What did that ancestor look like, and why didn't it always bring forth after its kind? Why did it diversify? It did. You mean an elephant and a pine tree are still the same kind?
That's right. They're still eukaryotes.
Okay. Well, I can help you recognize. If you get confused any time, I can show you which is a tree and which is an elephant. I think probably.
I can do that too. I can do that too. See, you've described evolutionary principles for the last 5 minutes. I've no contest with that. I'm waiting for the creationist principles to come in.
I think I've told you several times. The Bible says if they can bring forth, they are the same kind.
Unless they've now speciated. Would you, and you accept that? I've seen in some of your other videos, you accept that speciation happens so they can no longer bring forth.
Speciation happens, but it's within very strict limits. There are 200
what are the
species.
limits?
Well, there are 200 species of squirrels. Someday there may be 500 species of squirrels. That doesn't.
What are the limits?
Squirrel. I think the limit is called squirrel. They're always going to be what's called a
because
squirrel.
Of the law of monophily, they're always going to be eukaryotes too. They're always going to be mammals. They're always.
Right, well, I missed since I've just paused it. I just want to scroll up. Oh, yeah, Sonic's. Oh man, District Driver, what are you doing? Yeah, Sun Express. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Sun Express. Yeah. I thought it was an advert. Oh, District Driver, man, come on. Oh, you don't drive like you moderate, you. But yeah, thank you to all the mods and everything. I can't thank you enough. You're not getting paid. Sorry.
always going to be eutherians. None of those things are going to change.
So are
you
you
are
using...
still you still belong to every clade your evolutionary ancestors did. There was no point where you stopped being what they were. You can't grow out of your ancestry.
So I am still a pine tree.
Did I say or imply in any way that you were descended from a pine tree?
You said I'm still a eukaryote, and so are the pine trees.
Are
so
you telling me that you are not a eukaryote?
Are you a pine tree?
Did I tell you that all eukaryotes are pine trees?
Yes, so are you a pine tree?
I told you. Can somebody back up the tape? When did I tell Kent Hovind that all eukaryotes are pine trees?
No, I didn't. You said no.
You said.
Morris, you're supporting the channel just by watching a video. So please, everybody that watches the channel, everybody that likes, shares, subscribes, comments, etc., etc. Even if you just watch the video, it's absolutely fine by me. It really is. I can't thank people enough for the kindness and the support and everything. But if you look out during early February, Atheist Junior has offered to help me out on how to grow my channel, and he's invited me on his channel. We're going to look at some Matt Powell videos and Kent Hovind videos probably. So look out for those on Atheist Junior's channel. So it should be good. It really should be good. So thanks, Atheist Junior, for that. Look out for that in early February.
He said, for clarification, what he said was that all pine trees are eukaryotic. They're all eukaryotes, but not all eukaryotes are pine trees. Correct?
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
But your ancestors...
So at no point in your evolutionary history did a eukaryote give birth to a non-eukaryote. So, and the same thing applies throughout. So all the hundreds of times that in the last 20 years you kept saying a dog never produces a non-dog. I'm sorry, that's always been wrong. That's always been a straw man.
Sorry, Dog Walker. No, you're not getting paid. But do you know what I think we should do? Is like moderators of this channel. If you live in this country, we should get together and have like a real life get together, if you know what I mean. Sometime in the summer or something, we can just go to a beer garden and just have a thing here. Something central to, like, Birmingham or something, so it's easier for everybody to get to, or where the majority of people live. I think we should all get together in a beer garden, just get pissed and just have a good time and stuff, and just have a chat, meet face to face. If anybody's up for that, let me know, and we'll see what we can set up in sometime in the summer.
That has never been a correct criticism of evolution. That has been a description of an evolutionary law which you have failed to understand lo these decades.
No, I think I come.
I've offered to debate Sven. I've offered to debate Erwin, and he's turned me down. I offered to debate Nathan Oakley on Erwin's channel. I've offered to debate Nathan Oakley on Erwin's channel, but Erwin blocked me from his channel because I tried setting it up, and obviously that debate didn't happen. But I would love to debate Erwin, because Mr. Sensible, if you're not subscribed to Mr. Sensible, go and subscribe to him. He's a top guy. He debated Erwin, or he'd had a chat with Erwin on his channel, and it sounded pretty good. So I'd love to debate Erwin. Yeah, I would. I'd love to debate any flat earther, really, apart from Nathan Thompson, because he's clearly got problems, and I don't like the way he's very childlike in his behaviour, is Nathan Thompson, and I don't like that. I can't deal with that. But any other flat earther, yeah, I would.
Completely understand it. Dogs always
just
produce...
demonstrated other, and will now do so again.
Let him get it out. Let him get it out.
Yeah, I know you can, Doug. Yeah, and anytime, matey, anytime. Let's get together for a drink, but let's get everybody together as well. I want to meet everybody. I like putting faces to names. That's me. I don't know what your face looks like, Doug. I mean, I've known you for bloody 40 years, mate. So there we go.
I will say it again. You haven't understood it in 20 years, but dogs do always produce dogs. Do you know of an
because
exception to that?
Because of the evolutionary law of monophily, that is true. And dogs remain conoidian carnivores. That never.
Do you know, Avi? I used to feel sorry for Erwin, but then when he blocked me from his channel, it wasn't the blocking me from his channel that did me. He just started calling me all sorts of names after he blocked me. He just said, you're a retard and all the rest of it, dickhead, and he just started calling me loads of names. And I thought, do you know, Erwin, why would I bother with somebody like that when you call people names like that? And then I haven't seen a stream of his ever since he blocked me. So he really is a dick. Well, yeah, Erwin won't do it because Turtle Moves, I totally agree. Because I've only got 1K subscribers. The thing I hate on YouTube that I've become pretty much, that I notice quite a lot, subscriber snobs. I hate subscriber snobs. I'm not going to debate you because you've only got like 600 subscribers or you've only got this many subscribers. I went on God TV's, the video that I showed first. I went on his channel. He's got less than 1,000 subs, even though he doesn't show it because, well, his views suggest that he's got less than 1,000 subs. So that's what. So I just assumed that he's got less than 1,000 subs because he's getting less than 100 views per video. If you look at his top videos since the start of 2022, I'm in the top 3. The video that I feature on, I'm in the top 3 of his videos. So I'm assuming he's got less than 1,000 subs. But I still went on his channel, and I'll promote smaller channels. I'll promote bigger channels. Doug, for instance, Doug Sharples, he does like truck driving simulations and stuff. And Doug, when are you doing more fishing videos, man? Doug Sharples, go and subscribe to Doug Sharples, because if you like truck simulations, like American Truck Simulator, European Truck Simulator, and all the rest of it, then that's the guy to go to, really, because he does look really good, really, really good stuff. I like his channel, me. I'm subscribed to him, so why not you?
They never became a non-carnivore when they produced the first dogs. Still a carnivore, still a member of every one of its parental kids. Same thing with cats. Phylogeny carnivores are still carnivores. Dogs, cats, both carnivores.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Are pine trees carnivores?
Because carnivora is limited to a subset of mammals and trees are not even animals, no.
Pine trees, carnivores. This is the level of intelligence of a young Earth creationist. What young Earth creationists do is they misrepresent and take the mick out of everything they don't understand. A lot like flat earthers. Loads of flat earthers will do it. Every single flat earther will do it. They'll misrepresent and mock and deny everything that they don't understand. It is absolute madness.
But you think elephants and pine trees and dogs are related?
Are still eukaryotes, yes.
Yes.
So, but at some point they became carnivores. Something happened.
Yes, that's correct. And I've got a series of videos explaining the evolutionary stages of that, if anybody listening to this cares. It's called The Systematic Classification of Life, where I go through some of the major clades. We're up to episode 24, and we've just now gotten to mammals. So there's another dozen or so videos in that series at least to come.
That ought to be exciting. Okay, so pine trees and elephants and dogs are related. At some point, the ancestor of whatever that ancestor looked like, diversified, and obviously elephants and dogs and pine trees look different today and behave differently and are now in certainly different species. I would assume different families and maybe
families,
kingdoms. Well, they're different kingdoms, plant and animal kingdom, aren't they?
The families and kingdoms really don't matter. Those are.
Do you know, Dog Walker? Yes, you're right. Venus flytraps are the carnivores. I heard Ken Ham in a debate with Bill Nye. I heard Ken Ham describe lions and tigers as vegetarians when they went on the ark. They said, well, I think Bill Nye said, why didn't the lions and tigers eat everything else? And you would need an absolute shed load of meat to feed these lions and tigers. And of course you would. And then Ken Ham's response was, Well, lions and tigers were vegetarians when they went on the ark. And I face palmed at that particular moment. It was absolutely ridiculous, obviously.
Linnaean constructs, and they're not really applicable. So the only thing that has a hard definition, the only thing that has a hard definition is, or the thing with the hardest definition is species. So everything else, all of these other taxonomic groupings, these grades that Linnaeus came up with, they serve only as signposts anymore, because he wasn't aware of how many increments there were between each of these different levels.
So Carolus Linnaeus was not aware that a pine tree was different than an elephant?
Let's try this. Obviously, you're trying to misrepresent this as much as you can, because obviously I never said anything like that. However, you did mention the 5-year-old could tell them apart. Now, what were the examples that you gave? A dog, an elephant, and a pine tree?
Do you think a 5-year-old could tell the difference between those?
Yeah, I think a 5-year-old doing the old Sesame Street game of one of these things is not like the other could probably pretty easily depict that
spot on,
the pine tree is the odd one out. Would you agree with that?
Very good. You're slowly getting it. There's hope. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. I can't imagine that anybody, even in your following, could possibly think that you're the one that understands this and I'm not.
I think they all believe I understand it and you don't. But go ahead.
Okay. Using the same description, you can find other things that are closer and eliminate the dog from the elephant by finding things that are closer to those, using that same simple principle. Once you realize derived synapomorphies, which things matter, which things don't. You can't decide that a certain type of parrot isn't a parrot because it's green, for example. You can't make up arbitrary rules like that. If you want to categorize any collective, you have to find the traits that are already contained within every member universally accepted in that set before you can decide whether some new addition belongs there or not. Do you understand that?
Well, let's say we're going to accept the traits of an animal to be something.
Okay, so you didn't answer that question.
Well, no, he didn't answer that question, did he? He just skipped over it, and then this is why, it just baffles me. I'm glad, Aaron. This is probably the best debate that I've seen Kent Hoving get destroyed in, because Aaron Ra calls him out on absolutely everything. He really does, and he holds him. He holds his feet to the fire. And it's a very, very good discussion. Really, it's billed as a discussion, so that's why I'm a massive fan of this particular.
You've asked me about 14 questions here, and
left that
unanswered.
One question. You didn't answer that one question.
No,
you've got another question instead of the answer.
Well,
that's all right. It doesn't matter. Go ahead. You change the subject however you want.
Go back and listen to this tape, Aaron. You changed the subject repeatedly.
I'm still on the same subject, and you're trying to derail. But go ahead. Change it to whatever subject.
How about we do this? Because a lot of crosstalk. Aaron, ask your question again, very directly, very succinctly, and then we'll have Kent directly answer that single solitary question, not going back to anything that's been previously discussed up to date. Just what question did you just ask that you want him to have a direct answer to?
Well, no, I didn't get to answer the very first one yet about what is a species or what is a biblical kind. I'm trying to answer that.
Start there, because that is the same. That topic has not changed. Yeah. It's the same thing I've been talking about since the beginning. He thinks it's multiple subjects. It's not. It's just that he has no clue what he's talking about. So please, let's get back to the one and only subject we've been discussing so far. Identify kinds as distinguished from other kinds. Give me a couple of different species, for example, that we can identify as being different created kinds. Things that ideally scientists would consider closely related. Not.
Spot on, Turtle. Spot on. According to Ken, kangaroos ended up in Australia because they were running from carnivorous big cats. But if the big cats just got off the ark and they were all vegetarian, according to Ken Ham, why would they run? Why would kangaroos run? Why are marsupials? I'm sure I want this right. Bruce D, yes, you want beer. Go to the shop, mate. According to Ken, kangaroos ended up in Australia because they run away from carnivorous big cats. I've forgotten where I was now. But if they weren't, why is it that marsupials are only found in Australia? Why is it that only fossils of kangaroos are found in Australia? Fossils of koala bears. And by the way, Mr. Horvind, if you're watching, Do koala bears and polar bears have a common ancestor? Are they related? Even though koala bears aren't bears.
Not as far apart as you can find them, but something that scientists would say, well, these are both in this group, and you say no, these are both individual creations. Give me that example.
Okay, I have in front of me a picture that I got from the internet 2 days ago showing carnivora, which includes panthers, the skunk, the otter, the familiar dog, the Canis familiar.
Yeah, Aaron Ra does have an enormous BS detector.
And Canis lupus, the wolf, and they have lines drawn connecting them all to a common ancestor. And I would like to point out that in the panther kind, there are, according to A to Z animals.com, 7 different subspecies of leopard, which differ in their appearance. The African leopard is the most common. I would suspect those 7 different leopards had a common ancestor, and it was a cat. Okay.
Okay. So let me ask for clarification purposes. When I say kind, and you say kind, we are obviously talking about something different.
Correct.
Now, you are describing, though you aren't aware of it, you are describing a clade. And when I use the word kind as distinguished from clade, the only difference is that the kind begins with a special creation. So a kind will not be part of another larger kind. You follow me?
I don't think the cat kind is part of the pine tree kind.
Yeah, okay, so the answer was a yes or no question about whether you follow this. Evidently, you do not. Do you understand that a kind is the beginning of a clade, the crown of a clade, from which there is no commonality? So that these two, if you wanted to start with squirrel, if you want to call it a kind, then God created 2 squirrels, and then he separately created chipmunks and everything that is squirrel-like within that division of rodents.
Yeah.
And then the parent category of rodents.
Yeah, I've never studied to see if a chipmunk and a squirrel could have a common ancestor. What is their chromosome number? Is it possible they had a common ancestor?
He's obsessed with chromosome numbers, is Kent Hovind, and I don't know why, because just because something has a similar chromosome number to another certain species, it doesn't mean that that they're closely related at all. It's just basic genetics, really.
That's what the phylogeny challenge is. It's to establish what a kind is, and a kind is not a clade. So if you're talking about parental groups from which that include all of their descendants, and that's what you're describing, then you're describing clades, not kinds. The difference between a clade and a kind is that the kind is a clade that begins with a special creation. So give me an example of 2 different kinds, 2 different special creations where those clades began with those special creations, but which science would consider closely related or within a parental clade.
Would you agree that the 7 different leopards of the world probably had a common ancestor, and it was a...
What? He can't even answer the question. He's just been answered. He's just been asked a very, very specific question, and he's going on about leopards now.
A leopard?
No.
You don't agree with that? Okay.
Well, no, I agree that the leopards would have a common ancestor that was a leopard, and that all panthers also have a common ancestor with other cats, and that macrodonts also have a common ancestor with panthers and felines, because there's 3 different distinctions for cats, and that the nymphorids also are related to cats with a common ancestor, and that we get to further down, we also have viverids included, and then we also have caninoids, which are the dogs, the bears, the weasels, the seals. All of these are genetically linked. It's not just lines on paper, and if you think that phylogenetics is just drawing lines on paper, then yeah, we need to have a long talk, and this is it. So at what point could you show me 2 different created kinds that don't share a common ancestor?
Okay. I think the created kind, let's take the pine tree leopard example here, since we're...
It's just been asked another specific question, and he's dodging it. It's a world famous creationist tactic. It's a tactic that flat earthers use as well. They get asked a specific question, and then they divert to another thing, and then hopefully, in the vain hope that their opponents will lose themselves and all the rest of it. But Aaron Ra holds his feet to the fire here. He really does.
On that. You believe they had a common ancestor. I do not. I
Okay.
think pine trees, I don't know how many varieties, I didn't look it up. How many pine trees are there? A lot. I mean, there's the loblolly, the longleaf, the gee whiz, there's probably 1,000 varieties of pine trees. Now, whether they had a common ancestor or not is interesting. I don't know, but let's assume that they did.
But I thought Kent Hovind, he taught biology. So if you're teaching biology and science, surely you would know how many different species of pine trees there was. Kent, you lied to children in church, and that's all you ever did. And it's all you will ever do. And it's all you do in your little compound at Dinosaur Adventureland.
If we can get 1,000 varieties of pine trees from an original pine tree, that is not evidence that a pine tree and a leopard are related.
Yeah, duck and
How
dive.
evidence, however, that all of these conifers had a common ancestor, is it not?
I agree. They
Okay.
probably
So
did.
can you find me, same question, repeating the same question again, which you clearly you have demonstrated you do not understand the question, so I'm phrasing it again.
Okay.
I want you to give me not just another description of a clade, which you mistakenly referred to as a kind. No, that's not what a kind is. That's a clade. A kind is where the clade begins with a special creation. Can you give me 2 special creations that science would consider to be in the same parent category?
I think that's the 3rd time he's asked that, and Kent has just deflected and dodged.
Probably the 4 different. I don't know if I had my next picture here shows the 4 different species of skunks. I mean, because this picture showed a skunk and a leopard as being related.
Yes, because skunks are mustelids, which are a subset of Canoidea, and then your panthers, again, a subset of Phylogeny, both within order Carnivora. So
Sure.
are you suggesting then that God created skunks but did not create any of the other weasels around it, that all other mustelids, or did he create a common ancestor of mustelids? And then we have to look at the common ancestor of mustelids along with the other related groups within Canoidea. Is mustelid, is a skunk your created kind, or is mustelid your created kind? Which is it?
Type 1 in the chat if you remember a late 70s, early 80s Japanese, Japanese TV program called Monkey. And I'm going to tell you, if I get loads of ones, I will tell you a really, really funny story about me and that program.
I don't know. That's a good question. I think that this textbook shows the otter also is in here next to the skunk as being related. There are
Hello, Colon. Hi, matey. I hope you're all right.
13 varieties of otters. And
Okay,
they have
so
a
I
line.
gave you a hint that you needed to look up the Phylogeny Challenge before you address this, and you don't even know what the Phylogeny Challenge is.
The phylogeny, as I've clearly demonstrated, is drawing lines
the
on paper.
Phylogeny Challenge.
Yeah, Ken, let's try to clarify. He's not talking just about phylogeny. He's asking you, do you know what his phylogeny challenge is, which is something he has issued, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, dealing with the original kinds for what would be the beginning of a clade for the creationist point of view along those lines?
Yeah, I see.
Right, I've just seen a load of ones go up in the chat, and oh no, I wish I hadn't said it now, but oh no. Right, I was born in 1972, right, and obviously the late 70s, early 80s, I was 8, 9, 10 years old. And in the program Monkey, right, he takes a stick out of his ear and it grows into a long staff, and he fights with it. Me, being a massive, massive fan of Monkey, I got a little twig about this big. Yeah, Monkey, Pigsy, Fish, Fish Monster. He was called Sandy, and Tripitaka. He was called Sandy because he had skulls. He had a necklace of little skulls around his neck. Tripitaka. It's a very sad story about Tripitaka. It was a girl who did Tripitaka. It was a girl, and she passed away with a form of cancer. Very, very sad story. But anyway, rest in peace, whoever played Tripitaka. But yeah, he pulled a little stick out of his ear, and it grew into a long staff, and he fought with the long staff. And my mum had to take me to my GP, to the family doctor, because I put this stick in my ear and it got stuck and it nearly damaged my eardrum, and I had to pull it, and the doctor had to pull it out. So, oh my God, very, very embarrassing. If any young Earth creationist or any flat earther wants to clip that, please feel free to do so. I'll make no bones about it. I'm ashamed of it. Yeah, I am ashamed of it.
Set it up so that most people who visit my channel would see the Phylogeny Challenge video first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. You want
a flipping twig stuck in my ear. I mean, come on. Bloody the things you do as kids. We played army as kids. We played Kirby as kids. We went climbing trees as kids. And nowadays you can't do anything because, oh no, you mustn't do that. It's too dangerous. Health and safety.
want to know what the original created kinds were and how that is distinguished from the other created kinds, and what prevents them from being connected. Is that
no?
Not far off, Morris. There's only 12 months separating us.
The second part of the question is irrelevant.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can show me created kinds, then it wouldn't matter how that clade diversifies after that, or the number of subset clades within that, because you.
Yeah. Yes, you do, Grant. Yes, you do, Grant. You have to look up a load of 70s like Thundercats. What else? Battle of the Planets. You have to look up that as well. Everything like that. You have to look them all up because they're absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. The early 80s, fantastic era for television. We had Cat's Eyes, Dempsey and Makepeace. We had the lot. It was fantastic. Anybody remembers Dempsey and Makepeace? Oof. Makepeace, Glynis Barber. Come on.
You can have new clades erupt with.
I just had a super chat. Super chat. Where were we? Sven Bellens, thank you very much for the laughing emoji. Thank you so much. Yes, a twigget in my ear. Yes, I was heavily influenced by that. Back when I was, 5 or 6 years old, 77 Star Wars came out. My mum and dad got me a lightsaber for Christmas, and I used to go out and play with my lightsaber and everything. Absolutely fantastic. Miss those days. Miss Masako Natsumi. Yes, yeah. Space 1999, loved it. Absolutely loved it. UFO, I wasn't that keen on, to be honest. Yeah, they did shave her head, yeah. It's an era that is sadly gone forever. Late 70s, early 80s era. It's sadly gone forever. I like the Carry On films as well. I love the Carry On films. The naughtiness of the Carry On films. Kenneth Williams. Will-O-the-Wisp. Type one in the chat if you remember Will-O-the-Wisp. What a program that was. Anyway, we're getting distracted here. We're supposed to be watching this. Come on, watch this.
Within those old clades, and they're still going to belong to the parent clade that they always were. And the same goes through entire evolutionary phylogenies. Every one of them.
Sorry,
they remain belonging to every ancestral category that their ancestors ever did. There was never became a non-dog. That argument is invalid. So show me two created kinds that science would consider within the same parental clade.
Hold it. If they never became something other than their parents.
Because of the law of monophily that I just described. It's an evolutionary law.
So.
Yeah, Space 1999, Martin Landau. Was that Barbara something or other? She was sexier. And the other one, they zoomed into her eyeball and she changed into another animal, didn't she? She was sexy as well. There's a lot of sexy people knocking about.
If there was something.
Mrs. Jones being one of them. She's very sexy. I hope she comes on stream one day. Mrs. Jones, absolutely gorgeous. And I really want her to come and join me on a live stream one time. But you'll see why I fancy her.
Thing then that was the ancestor of pine trees and elephants where we started this conversation. Obviously something happened. And what this is, nobody's ever observed this. See, science, I guess my definition of science is very different than yours. Science is things we observe, study, test, and demonstrate.
And that is exactly my definition as well.
Okay, then so far every
And
farmer
we
in
can
the world.
observe,
Barbara Bach.
study,
No,
test,
it
and
wasn't.
demonstrate
was
that
Ringo Starr's Mrs.
the most primitive and simplest plants are in fact single-celled, and that they are eukaryotes.
And do you think
And if we just
single-celled
teach the
plant?
facts, if we teach the observable, testable, verifiable facts about this, then we come up with what Linnaeus came up with when he discovered a tree of life that should not exist. He was a creationist. He had no idea, no concept of evolution. In his time, species were immutable. You could.
Barbara Bach was, like I just said, she was Ringo Starr's wife. She was in The Man with the Golden Gun. Absolutely. Barbara Bach. Oh, dear me. Yeah, I did get the yes, Doug, I did get the Millennium Falcon for Christmas. I got an AT-AT as well. I got a speeder bike. I got absolutely everything. But because I was living with the kid's mum. I've got 2 children. Well, I've got 3 children. I was living with the kid's mum, the first 2 children. And I left her because she was violent. And I had everything boxed. I always kept all my boxes. Back when even when I was a kid, I kept all the boxes. So I had the massive Millennium Falcon. I had the AT-AT as well, the speeder bike, like I just said. Stormtroopers. I had figures as well. I had absolutely everything. Things that would be worth a small fortune today. I had absolutely everything. And the kid's mum, the ex-Mrs. Jones, she destroyed everything. What a bitch. This is why this is why I'm so this is why I'm so against domestic violence. This is why I speak up about domestic violence on Twitter and Facebook and etc. I speak up about domestic violence because it only seems to, when people talk about domestic violence, they only talk about it against women. And I think that's wrong. Domestic violence can happen to both sexes. It happens to both men and women. I suffered from domestic violence twice, and it's wrong. And in Bolton, we have a place called Fort Alice, which is a safe house for domestic violence victims. And I asked Fort Alice, would they ever take in male domestic violence victims? And they wouldn't give me an answer. So that's what that tells you. So I'm very much against that. Anyway, let's have some fun, because that upsets me.
Couldn't derive a new species, and yet he was seeing a tree such as you're currently describing. You don't realize it's cladistics that you're talking about, but that's what it is. He didn't have a concept of that, and he couldn't explain it. That's why he turned to the scientific community and challenged them to explain, why is he seeing this?
So did Linnaeus think that pine trees and elephants were related?
No. He was a creationist, but he did think that apes and people were the same thing, indistinguishable, and he challenged the scientific community to find him a generic difference that accords to the laws of cladistic, or not cladistics, of taxonomy. And they couldn't. So they arbitrarily created a class of Pongo, just to ease their own conscience about it. But then, of course, in the last 20 years or so, genetics has confirmed that there is no such thing as a separate family for the non-human apes. We are still apes.
Yeah. District driver. Yeah. It's horrible. People don't think about domestic violence against men. They really don't. They think that men are so big and powerful and all the rest of it. Why would you? This is what I had with social workers, trying to win my children and trying to get my children to live with me. I had social workers questioning me, saying like, well, you're so big. Why would you put that up? Why would you put up with that with a woman? Did you not hit back or anything like that? I said no. I said it's the very fact that I'm big. I didn't hit it back with my girlfriend at all, and it's just, I'm sick of people judging people just on the size. It's horrible. I don't like judgmental people.
Okay, I think it was dictionary.com or whatever, the word definition of cladistic, since you're trying to equate that with kinds. A method of classification.
I'm not. I want to clarify. You are the one who is doing that.
No,
I am
no.
distinguished. No, yes. You're using the word kind to describe clades, and you are habitually avoiding the actual definition. A kind would be a clade that begins with a special creation. I distinguish these. You're the one equating them. Do not accuse me of making your mistake.
I sure have, Doug. Yeah, and she's a belter. Absolute belter. I'm going to get her on stream one day. I'm going to get her on video one day. And she's absolutely bloody gorgeous. I love Mrs. Jones to bits. Anyway, let's change the subject, shall we? I'm going to stay on stream until about 9:30, until about 9:30, if that's all right. Because I'm dying for a pee again. And I've got to make my mum a tea. And I don't know if Mrs. Jones is coming round. So I've got to make her tea as well. All right. So about quarter of an hour, and then I'll call it a night, if that's all right.
Well, let me just read you the dictionary definition of cladistics, okay, where clades come from. A method of classification of animals and plants according to the proportion of measurable characteristics that they have in common. It is assumed that the higher the proportion of characteristics the two organisms share, the more recently they diverged from a common ancestor.
Got another super chat. Where are we? Andy's Bailey, thank you so much. 449. Michael Brandon, Glynis Barber were customers of mine when I worked for a well-known car dealership in London. They're still together. Michael Brandon, Glynis Barber, still together. And Glynis Barber, even in the 60s, she still looks fit. She really does. I mean, she has been blessed with the best genes in the world, that girl. And back then, oh, God almighty. The amount of tissues I got through. That's disgusting, that, isn't it? Anyway, on with the show.
So cladistics
that would not be a scientific definition. I can help you with that. The scientific definition is a classification, as I previously described, with all of the criteria that each of these groups should have. You have to make a total tally of everything that is included within that group before you decide whether something else belongs there. But the key word, which is not in your layman's dictionary, is that the cladistics is a classification.
Nothing wrong with being a button pusher. Nothing wrong with being a button pusher whatsoever. Nothing wrong with being a toilet cleaner, a floor sweeper, a shelf stacker. Absolutely nothing. As long as you're earning your own money, absolutely fine.
That includes all its descendants. It doesn't make special exceptions for certain ones. For example, the clade animal, which is formerly known as metazoa, is multicellular eukaryotes with an internal digestive tract. Well, this is the simplest definition. That's what an animal is. That applies to you, right?
I definitely have an internal digestive tract. Yes, sir, I do.
Yes, and you're a multicellular eukaryote. So, I mean, by definition, then, you are an animal. So there was no point in your evolutionary ancestry that an animal gave birth to a non-animal because of...
Yeah, Glynis Barber was fit in Blake 7.
The law of monophily, you are still an animal, and you always will be.
Glynis Barber, if memory serves, she did a strip cartoon. I think it was called Jane or something. Oh, I'm sure it was called Jane. Glynis Barber did like a strip cartoon type thing on telly. I think it was called Jane. And I watched it continuously because I watched it in the vain hope that Glynis Barber would actually get them out. But she didn't, because obviously it was, early 80s telly. We couldn't do anything back then. But, yeah, Glynis Barber, that was Glynis Barber. She did a strip cartoon called Jane. Absolutely positive.
Hold it. An elephant in a pine tree, something happened. One's no longer an animal.
Let's just clarify this, because I think you guys are talking past each other. And I think Arn's asked this like multiple times, and I want to make sure that everybody gets equal time on this. So let's for clarification purposes. Arn, real quickly, can you explain what you mean by monophyletic clade, but specifically towards Kent's kind
domestic violence
definitions?
Is the worst possible kind.
What I think we need to isolate is that all the things you've talked about, the pine tree and mammals.
No, it weren't perils of Pauline. I'm sure the thing was called Jane. If you just punch in, I can't do it on here because it'll come up. If you punch in, what's it called? Jane, Glynis Barber, I'm sure it'll pop up, but I'm sure it was Glynis Barber.
Are still eukaryotic, right? They're different kinds of eukaryotes, right? But they're still eukaryotic. And they came from something in evolutionary theory that was non-eukaryotic at one point, right? They have a shared
we
common
don't even
ancestry.
have to get into we don't even have to get into the genetics of the fossil record at this point. I mean, there's or embryology or any of the other things that confirm phylogenetics. We're just looking at the simple characters. We're looking at what Carolus Linnaeus would look at. So the commonality between the pine tree and the elephant is that they're eukaryotes.
Right.
Neither one, neither one started from an animal. Being a eukaryote doesn't mean animal. So it means that it's referring to a cell that has a nucleus, right? And so that never changed. Now, at some later point after the division between plants on one side and the animals on the other, then we have this. But then,
was Jane? It was Jane. I was positive. I used to watch it. Like I said before, I used to watch Glynis. I was mad about Glynis Barber. I was absolutely besotted with her. Who wouldn't be? I mean, blonde, bobbed hair, posh talking, nice ass. But yeah, I used to watch Jane. I used to watch it, and I knew it was Jane.
We have many further divisions before we get to trees, and then conifers, and then pine trees. Just like we have many further divisions before we get to eutherian mammals and elephants and so forth.
Okay, so can you address that specifically for the audience?
If you can hear squeaking in the background, it's my chair. Right, this is what I've got to put up with. Mrs. Jones said she's going to get me a new chair on Friday, I think. Look at the state. I know I'm full of grease. Oh. Bollocks, bollocks, bollocks. Oh, God.
Please, because you do agree that trees and animals are all eukaryotic, right, Kent?
Correct. Well, they all have a cell with a nucleus. That is correct. Plant cells and animal cells, they're very different in many other ways, but yes, they both have a nucleus. So that proves we're related. So because we both are eukaryotes, therefore elephants and pine trees are related. I'm just completely baffled at how a grown person could believe that.
I just mentioned that there are other categories that we can use. We're only right now looking at Linnaean characteristics. Sure. We haven't got into genetics or embryology or the fossil record or any of that. We're just looking at the characteristics right now.
Okay, so I would say
we want to make sure that we don't adopt a belief at the onset, because of course that would be dishonest, and it would be dishonest to throw out any evidence that flies against whatever belief you want to adopt at the onset. So we're better off both not having a belief to start with.
Okay, well let's start.
Look at the facts and the possibilities.
Okay, let's look at the facts. Yeah. Pine trees are made up of cells, all of which, originally the ones that are still living anyway, have a nucleus. The dead ones, of course.
Will do. Call on. Will do. Oops, press play.
Internal tree no longer has that. But yes, and elephants are made up of cells, and they have nucleus. I could look at that and say this proves we have a common designer because this system works really good.
You don't have to go that far. You don't even have to. You can construct an entire tree of life, as Linnaeus did, without making that assumption, and you still come to the same inescapable fact.
You could also construct a tree of life and say, wow, look at the designer gave all this stuff the ability to reproduce
Then again,
varieties.
You're making an assumption that is unjustified. We have to look at possibilities as well. Okay. So
spot on. He's talking about Kent Orwin's talking about the designer. Absolutely no evidence for the designer whatsoever, and he's just assuming things. I don't get it.
But in order to say, and I know that you know that not everything is possible because you've said many times about things that you don't understand that you think are impossible. So you know that we can't just say that anything is possible. You know that there's a limit, that there are things that are not possible. So we have to look at, before we can say that something is possible, we have to verify that the possibility exists. There has to be a precedent or a parallel or a verified phenomenon to indicate that such possibility exists.
Avi, flying cars don't exist. Have you never ever seen The Man with a Golden Gun? Christopher Lee flying a flying car? There you go. They do exist. Joking.
Now,
So
we know
what-
that evolution happens. We've seen how it happens. We know various different aspects about it. We know quite a lot, actually, about the evolutionary process and the evolutionary history and so forth. And so we know that these things occur. They're observable, demonstrable, verifiable, repeatable directly. Now, do we have a possibility for magic imaginary friend using a conjuration spell?
Yeah, totally, Morris. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun here. I'm really enjoying this. I'm gonna disappear in about 4 minutes because, like I said, I have to get Mum's tea on and everything. Dog walker flying exists. Flying cars exist, but you need people to fly them, so they won't become mainstream. Spot on. Planes more or less fly themselves, don't they? I mean, they take off automatic, they fly themselves automatic, land automatic. But would you ever get in a plane that doesn't have a human pilot? You never would you? So that's why they have people on board, obviously. Chitty chitty bang bang. Yeah, spot on. Right, yeah, about 3 or 4 minutes. And
you
then
have already said several things which I would have to disagree with. We do not know that evolution happens by my definition
Okay, so
of evolution.
you're saying,
You're
saying that the definition that we've already had.
Let him finish
You-
out his answer.
Okay. You, in your mind, you know evolution happens. In my mind, I have a different definition of that. I think variations happen within the same kind, but they're limited to that kind. For
But there's
instance,
no definition of kind still given. That was the core of what we've been
Right.
talking about for the last half
No
hour,
definition
is
of
trying to get
kind.
you to define a kind as distinguished from a clade. Now, I've given the definition, and I've called you to give examples of that, and you failed to do so. What you have instead done was deny the very definition of evolution as being a fact. You would agree, and you have described already how you accept certain aspects of evolution, and not just change within a species. You're talking about changes between species, which means you accept macroevolution as well. I know you defined it as something else because you have to use equivocation. But just because you use the wrong definitions doesn't mean that your definitions are right. It means the scientific community has established what these definitions are, and you don't get to change them just for your audience.
and you don't get to put words in my mouth. I do not believe in macroevolution. By my
But
definition,
you described what you described that you accept. What you said you accept meets the definition that scientists give for what macroevolution is. Microevolution is variation within a species. Macroevolution is variation between species, and this includes speciation, and you accept that speciation happens. So you accept that by definition, the actual, real definition, and not the false one you made up, that you accept what is actually really defined as macroevolution.
Let's make sure that Ken has equal time here, Aaron, if we can.
That would be wonderful.
I want to make sure Ken.
Okay.
Please, we're trying to make sure you have equal time. But
all right, just tell me when to speak.
I want to make sure you guys are talking about the same things, and I understand both of your guys' positions. I've had many conversations with both of you gentlemen. Aaron is explaining it from a very scientific and precise way of looking at it, and what he's asking you is for you to define your terms in a way that is from a creationist point of view, and they don't mesh. And I think that's why we're having a communication failure here. When you're talking about speciation, Kent, what do you mean by macroevolution? What do you mean by speciation? How much of it do you accept? Is that something along the lines of what you want to know, Aaron, as far as your questioning?
Well, that's where I don't think anybody's ever given a really hard definition of species. Is a dog and a wolf a different species, yet they're the same kind of animal? Is a dog and a coyote and a wolf? They're different species, Canis lupus, Canis domesticus, but they're the same kind. So yes, I do accept that speciation happens, but who is getting, like they decided there's a new species of finch on the Galapagos Islands now, because one flew over to a different island and crossbred with a different variety of finch.
Oh, right. Meant to mainstream, yes. Cars can fly. I'm just going through the chat. Sorry. Old Top Gear had many flying cars. Justin, hold on. Oh, right. I'm going to make you a moderator because I can't. Won't let me do it. Oh, you mustn't have a channel. Sven Bellens, which tea do you and your mother and yours tea, not drinking tea. Us in the north of England, we call tea a meal that happens in the evening. So that's that one. Yes, you've got to rewind it. Sorry. So what I'm going to do, my friends and everybody, I'm going to call it a night now, because I love you all so much, and plus I'm hungry and I want more beers, and I'm going to have to go to the shop and everything like that. But I just want to say thank you to everybody. Dinner, Andy's Bailey. It's not dinner, it's tea. It's tea. We are in the north of England, and it's tea. You go for a chippy tea on a Friday, right, Mr. Bailey? We go for a chippy tea on a Friday. It's not called chippy dinner. It's called chippy tea because it happens in the in the late evening. All right. So yes, supper. Yeah. Thank you to. Hold on. Yeah, I'm trying to make you a mod. Hold on, and it won't let me do it. It just won't let me do it, and I don't know why. I'm really sorry about that, because I really do want to make you a mod, because what I do is, with people who I recognise, you will enjoy the rewind. Yes, you will. What I do is, I recognise certain people, and yes, it's definitely tea, not dinner. Thank you, District Driver. Off. Doug, really? Brunch? Really? Are you having a laugh? You're posh. You live in another part of town. And no, it's not brunch. Brunch. Trust you come up with brunch. I mean, come on. No. So what I want to say is a massive second breakfast. What I want to say is, I keep getting right. I'm not reading the chat now. I'm not reading the chat. What I want to say is a massive thank you to everybody that's joined on the live stream. Everybody that's super chatted, everybody that's commented and left a message. Thank you to all the mods. Thank you to absolutely everybody. It's been an absolute blast. I've loved every minute of this. So what I'm going to do is set it up as a regular thing. I won't be able to do it this Friday, but every Friday, I think at about 7 o'clock. Every Friday about 7 o'clock. Not this Friday, but every Friday about 7 o'clock, 7 till 9. I'm going to do a live stream, because I love interacting with everything, and it's amazing. I absolutely love it. So once again, a massive thank you to absolutely everybody that's, subbed and commented, super chatted. I can't thank you enough. You make this channel grow. And it's only you that makes this channel grow. It's not me. It's you guys. It's not me. What I do is I just talk crap for a quarter of an hour, and then you guys seem to like it, and it's really good. So join me on the next one. Patreon link is in the description below. Become a channel member even if you want to. But you can support the channel in many other ways, just by liking, sharing, commenting, or just by watching the video. That will be amazing as well. Thank you absolutely everybody that's subscribed and that's watched the video, liked, commented, super chatted. Thank you to absolutely everybody. It does mean a lot to me. And I will see you on Sunday 8 PM for a Sunday Stupid video.